Ring ring, it's time for another episode of Crossplay Conversations, the show where we dive deep into the world of video games while keeping it light. I'm your host, Luke Lewis, and we're heading into the finale, the grand finale of our 2025 Game of the Year content. I am joined by the bluest of princes, Joseph Hooper.
Let's freaking go. I have another prop. This is my Christmas present that Amanda gave me. It's a little Link and like,
cool.
I don't know what you call this.
Terrarium
it's
adjacent
cool.
Bookshelf display?
There's a material that epoxy thing.
That's it.
One.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. Next up, we have Queen of the Cozy Game, Claire Helmberger.
Hey.
Claire Lewis. I always fuck it up.
What up?
I need to say Claire Lewis because we're married, and then I mess it up every time.
It's okay.
I mean, it's like a little surprise. You never know
Yeah.
which one you're going to get. You know what I'm saying?
Legally still Helmberger, technically.
I've been putting both on everything.
But, you know.
Just to cover all the
Both
bases.
names are fair game. Anyway. And rounding out our trio, it's the 3D printed man, Jacob McCourt.
Holy moly.
I have an assorted bag of Legos on my desk, and
I love
that has
this
nothing to do with this conversation, but I'm ready.
3D printed them?
I did not, but you know, you can 3D print a Lego if you need like a replacement part. It's just the build quality isn't the same as Lego or even Mega Bloks.
Is that legal?
Don't tell the Lego company because they'll come for
We
me.
won't tell Mr. Lego.
Them and their $900 Pokemon Legos.
We won't tell Mr. Lego, but we will tell Mr. Lego what has won Crossplay's Game of the Year at the end of this episode with the reveal of our top 10 video. But before that, let's jump into our remaining categories. We still have on the docket the Luke Lewis Chill Out with a Coffee on a Rainy Weekend Afternoon game, Hooper's
Trademark.
Puzzle Paradise Award, Claire's Creatively Cozy Award, trademark on both of those two, Best Music, Best Visuals Technical, Best Visuals Art Direction, and Best Narrative. So we got a lot to still get through, some good stuff. Shall we jump in to the second annual Luke Lewis Chill Out with a Coffee on a Rainy Weekend Afternoon game, I believe? The nominees are...
Why don't you share your screen?
Thank you. Thank
so
you,
people
sir.
on
Looking
YouTube
out for
can
the piece.
appreciate it.
We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, video watchers. I'm more of an audio listener myself. Actually, no, I'm a video watcher.
Video
I'm a
watcher
podcast
for
video
the
watcher.
game of the Year content is a good place to be. So if you go to our video version, you can follow along in the doc, see the list we're working on here. So the nominees are Spilled, Despelote, Expelled, Winter Burrow, Make Room, Tiny Bookshop, Wheel World, Is This Seat Taken, Cast and Chill, Lego Voyagers, and Keeper. Woohoo, Jacob McCourt.
Luke Lewis, I'd love to know, how do you define the chill out with a coffee on a rainy weekend afternoon for those who don't know this category or know
That's
you
a
super
lovely
well?
question. This category, I think, was installed by you last year, and it kind of encapsulates my favorite weekend vibe playing a video game. Of I wake up in the morning at not the same time, because you don't set an alarm on a Saturday or a Sunday, say. You wake up, you get a nice cup of coffee, you sit down at the computer, and you fire up a game that speaks to you in that moment. Generally speaking, for me, that game is a relatively short experience or a good and short bursts experience. So maybe I'm playing for an hour or two and have a nice, succinct weekend experience. Generally speaking, it's often raining, and it kind of falls into not necessarily a cozy game, but inherently like a game that
is cozy to play.
Yeah, that makes you feel at peace. It's like my
you play with
my
the
Zen
blanket
state
on your
game.
lap.
Is if that's reasonable.
I love it. That's a great
love it.
explanation.
So with that said, a smattering of options. I think all of these are quite cool. I can quickly shout out a couple that we haven't talked about.
You know what I want to hear
until
first
this
from
point.
you? I want to hear about Cast and
Yeah,
Chill
that was
from
actually where I was going to go first, because I think that's a prime example of this category. Cast and Chill, gifted to me by one Jacob McCourt, actually, for one of our Steam Secret Santa Discord adventures. But Cast and Chill, delightful little fishing sim, pixel art. Shout out to friend of the show, Dan. I know he's a big proponent of this one as well. It's just a delightful little game, and this falls into that great and short bursts camp where you're upgrading your rods, you're going out on the water, fishing different fish, taking them back to the shop, selling them, upgrading, doing these different things, rinse and repeat. It's a great gameplay loop. Pun intended, it is a very chill game, and it's just a ton of fun, and I kept coming back to it. This was one that, like, sometimes, like, before my work day, I would wake up, like, too early, but not be able to go back to sleep, and be like, grab a coffee and get an hour of cast and chill. Like, literally, like, an old man living on a lake, hit the lake before work vibes. But, yeah, this one was a lot of fun. Highly recommend it for folks.
Nice.
Reminds me a lot of your runner-up pick last year of Rusty's retirement. Like, in my mind, they sort of occupy the same space.
This one's like 50% more tactile in that you are like doing button commands to like cast your rod and do stuff, so it's like a little more involved, but similar energy, and the pixel art style is definitely comparable too. Awesome. So I was going to shout out that one. And then I was also going to shout out Lego Voyagers, which we played over the holiday break and during our Extra Life stream, Jacob. Really cute co-op puzzle game. Follow-up to Lego Builder's Journey, if you ever played that one. But you're controlling little blocks going through this world. It's a 4 or 5 hour experience, but really delightful, visually stunning. The puzzles never get too crazy, but they're like just involved enough to keep you engaged. And it tells a really poignant story about 2 little block friends on an adventure.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time playing that with you. It is, I want more games like that next year, where it's very much a, we were chatting, we were focusing on the conversation, and then occasionally we needed to go, oh, let's figure out this puzzle, and then we'll come back to the conversation. More games like that, please.
And more like 2-session co-op games, this
Yes.
one was published by Annapurna, and the production value on it was crazy. Like, visually, I was like really impressed by the lighting and the physics engine of the Lego pieces and different things, but it was neat it was also cool to see a licensed Lego game, but not inherently tied to a pop culture franchise, like just do kind of an original IP, and it could get a little weird and wacky with it.
That could have been done with, it could have partially been done without Lego. I guess there are some pieces of it that are pieces that are inherently Lego-based.
Sure.
Do you guys want to talk about Keeper? Because I don't think we've talked about Keeper yet on this show.
Sure.
On this Game of the Year series of podcasts.
Joseph, do you want to chat about that one, since I know you played it as well?
Yeah, let me get off the bench here and say that Keeper is a fantastic game. It is one of those interesting releases where you definitely want to give it its credit, but it necessarily doesn't fit in a lot of other categories when we're like discussing the best games of the year. It's just kind of like one of those really cool pieces of art where you don't really know what you're going to get when you start it, and you don't really know what you got when you finished it type situations. But the journey was fantastic. It's kind of like this walking sim with a little bit of puzzle solving elements, but it's more about the journey and like the story that you're getting. And the point is not necessarily to get a specific message, but it's kind of to get a reaction out of you emotionally, or just make you feel something and make you start thinking and pondering. So yeah, absolutely. It's super cozy too. Like, there are some tense moments, but for the most part, from a gameplay perspective, you're not working too hard to get through this game, which is nice.
Yeah. I like this one for this category too, because there's no combat to the game. You're not being attacked by stuff, and the puzzle solving is very approachable, and the way it's paced is similar to Lego Voyagers, of just engaging enough that I'm always invested, but not so involved that I'm like, this is overwhelming in the moment. But yeah, love Keeper. And when we get to visual design, I will argue that it's one of, if not the most visually stunning games I played this year.
Someone spoiled the thing for me for Keeper, and I'm kind of mad about it.
The thing.
They just mentioned that there's a very small spoiler. Skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to hear about Keeper. The transformation. And I was mad about it.
I'm going to be honest. It's probably still
I
worth playing the
would
game.
say
'Cause
as well.
I know what
yeah.
you're talking about, but I don't even know what you're talking
I
about.
believe I know what
Okay.
you're talking about, but Keeper is very much a about the journey, not the destination game. Like just
Okay.
the moment to moment and the vibe and the style of it. I think is
Yeah. I know what you're talking about because I was sitting there when Luke was about to hit that point and he was kind of stuck on a puzzle. So I was like, I'm just going to look up a guide for you because I don't care about spoilers. And then I saw what was going to happen next. And I was like, God, I'm so excited for him to see
Yeah,
this. 'cause I think
you were
he'll
like,
think
keep
it's really
playing.
cool.
Definitely keep playing.
And then he did it, and he
Yeah.
was like, look, and I was like, yeah, that is really cool. And
I
I'm
will
so
say
excited see it,
to
so-
that point, for folks, if you play the first like 30 to 40 minutes and you're like, this is interesting, but I'm worried about like lack of variety, keep playing because it does go places. And to your point, Jacob, with the transformation, quote unquote, like they do vary the gameplay in some interesting ways, both from a gameplay perspective and visually. So, yeah.
Okay. You've sold me. You've resold
yeah.
me on it.
Jacob, there's a slew of games that I know you've touched on this list. Do you want to chat about any and or all? Despelote, I know, was a big one for you this year.
Yeah, let me hit on a couple. So Despelote is a 2-hour narrative-focused game, first-person, where you play as, I believe, an Ecuadorian who is going through what it was like to... There's a famous time where they almost made it to the World Cup final, and it just goes through that period in a child's life and really goes places narratively. The art style also is wicked, where they essentially take what looks like photographs and put them in a... It's hard to describe. It's almost like a black and white, but with a color style on top of it. It's really, really cool and rad. Not for everyone, but I think it could definitely fit in this category. Did any of y'all also play Despelote, or am I the...
I demoed
Luke,
it.
did you play
Yeah, we demoed
Despelote?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it. I'm looking forward to playing it at some point because it's definitely a me game, but what I played of the demo, and I played the demo a couple times across PAXs and Next Fests and things, but visually a really interesting game, almost doing like a low poly VHS filter, unique color palette.
That's a better way to describe it.
Esque thing that I really adore. And I love the cultural representation that the game is bringing to the table as well. I think that's really important and special. Small team. This one's been getting some solid recognition, which is awesome to see as well. And inherently, when we were defining the category, this isn't best short game, but I think it kind of can turn into that, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, solid pick for sure.
Really, it's either like one of two buckets from what you described. Of it's either best short game or best short session game, if you will. So that is Despelote. I played Is This Seat Taken? Which is from Wholesome Presents, I believe, in Pody Pody Studio. It is a game where you just have a series of little shapes, and they have a bunch of likes and dislikes, and you have to place them on a bus, in a room, on a restaurant, at a concert, in the right place to satisfy everyone's desires. I don't want to sit next to someone who's smelly. I don't want to sit next to someone loud. I want to be by myself. I want to be by the window. And it's a cool little puzzle game. I think if it's not on iOS at this point, it might be. This is a perfect iPad game, the best iPad game for all those iPad babies out there. And then the last one I'll cover is Spilled. Spilled is a 1-hour game from Lente. That is a game where you just pick up trash and pollution in water. You can play it in an hour. I loved my time with it. It's one that it's like $5, and I just recommend it to everybody. You want a cool, rainy, $5 1-hour video game? Spilled is the shit.
Yeah, I think that fits perfectly in this category.
It's pretty much the epitome of this category.
It's so great it's beautiful. It gets more beautiful as you are successful, and then you are like solving a really big world problem that, like, I don't know about y'all, but like climate anxiety is a thing, and you're just like, I am fixing this in this game, and I can shut off the world in my brain and pretend that if it was only this easy. And it is so, it's just healing.
Yeah. I couldn't also, the entire time I was playing, you know how when you see a 3D movie, you're like, wow, I can't believe this is in 3D. Look at the 3D here and here and here. While I was playing Spilled, it was very much, wow, I can't believe the dev made this while living on a boat. That is so cool. And the novelty didn't wear off because I think the game has the sauce. Like, it is really that fun to play moment to moment. And I finished it, and I immediately wished it was longer and that there was more, but I think that's a good thing for this type of game, to leave you wanting a little bit. But yeah, I had a blast with it. Really, really delightful. I played it on a plane to PAX East last year, and it's a great plane game too.
Oh, perfect.
Very good. Claire, you have a bunch on this list. Do you want to rapid fire some selections?
I put Expelled on this list. Actually, I put all 4 of those. I'll start with Expelled.
Go off.
So Expelled is a kind of choose your own adventure game from the creators of Overboard, and basically you start at the end of the day where you've been accused of this crime and you're going to get kicked out of your boarding school, and then you have to go backwards and play through the day and make choices that will lead you to not get expelled, and eventually you'll hit a point where you do not succeed and you have to restart your day. But as you play, you keep the things that you've learned from previous playthroughs. You have to go explore different areas, talk to different people. I spent one day where I was probably what must have been like 6 or 7 real game in-game hours just in the catacombs beneath the school, lost, trying to figure out how to get out of there. And then I came up and like, we've been looking for you all day, you're expelled. I was like, darn, but I kept everything that I learned while I was under there. So, and just the different like paths you can take to success or failure was super interesting. Very much one of the games that like draws you in. So in that sense, I felt like it fit in this category because you're just chilling out and getting sucked into a game that kind of just takes over your brain space, which I love for this category. And I also thought that the story was just really charming, not in the traditional way, but it definitely the way you go about the world is like it's quirky and witty and silly and fun. So, big fan. I feel like also.
I love this one. It was so good. It's a pseudo sequel to Overboard from Inkle, and so I just always love anything Inkle puts out. They're about to put out TR49. It may actually be out by the time you listen to this, which is an audio drama for them. So yeah, anything Inkle does, I'm there.
Yeah, super excited for that. I also put Winter Burrow on the list, which I felt like was a pretty slam dunk for this category too, because it's very chill. A survival, like foraging, crafting game, but it's very low key. The stakes are very low. The worst thing that happens to you for the first good chunk of the game is you stay out too long and you freeze to death. You have to go pick up your stuff. But also, like, compared to the demo that I played of this over a year before it came out, they definitely made it easier to not die in the snow. So very, very fun and cozy. Just a good, chill, cozy game. Make room. You're decorating rooms. Isometric.
That's another
top-down.
Wholesome Presents
Yeah.
one that came out.
So just dragging furniture. It's a total sandbox, so you don't have to worry about money or resources or anything. You are just fulfilling a list of demands that are pretty easy to do, and then from there you have creative control and you can make different colors and make everything different colors, and the inventories of different furniture, wallpaper and stuff is really solid. So that's one where you don't have to work up to it being fun. Sometimes with the interior designer type games where you have to start with nothing and then work your way to having enough stuff to actually make it fun. It's fun right away. Had a lot of fun with that one.
Which is why I think a game like Ikelia, I don't know if you guys played that one, that was nominated for an IGA, which is a combination of IKEA and like an assassin, where very much you start out with almost no furniture, and so it, in my mind, doesn't fit here because it doesn't have furniture at the start.
I love that. That's the disqualifying factor.
That is it. Not the killing.
Logic.
I don't have a catalog of furniture to play with at the start.
Real quick before we keep going because I want to hear about Tiny Bookshop, Claire. I'm thinking we might want to make a distinction between this category and then Claire's Creatively Cozy Award, because I think there's some crossover in terms of nominations.
I was thinking that too.
For the sake of clarity, are we okay with having this category be more in the vein of best short game, short session experience?
Yeah.
Claire's category leans more specifically into cozy game elements.
I always
Yes.
think that
Yeah.
my category is I lean heavily into the word creative. I like thinking about games that
Sure.
are doing something new and different within the cozy game space, and not just your traditional whatever a cozy game means to you, but
Sure.
there's something different about it.
I was just thinking that'll help us
But yeah.
narrow the focus on each
No,
of these
I agree.
categories. Okay,
Narrowed focus is needed.
sick.
So
the Tiny Bookshop.
yeah, Tiny Bookshop is not short enough. Just if we're gonna make that a stipulation, not short enough to be in this category. But it is super cozy. I got super sucked in last weekend and was really surprised also by like how much brain power it took to play. So I might just bump that alpha this category right now and talk about it later.
Okay, easy enough.
I was like, I have to think about this. You fell asleep listening to a Reddit Stories podcast on the
Sounds
TV,
about right.
and I was sitting there for like 2.5 hours, and I looked up, and you woke up, and I was like, I didn't hear a word of that Reddit Stories podcast because I was so focused on the
You
game.
were locked in. Hell yeah, love it. Okay. And then I think Wheel World was the only one we did not talk about, but we've chatted about it previously on the podcast. But awesome Annapurna joint earlier this year, bike messenger game, very chill. You race other folks, vibey electronic soundtrack. Game kind of tips itself on its head and becomes a Zelda Link to the Past situation where you have a dark world in the second half and gets real cool. Tons of fun with this one. Definitely one of my faves that didn't quite make my top 10 list, but
Spoiler.
was in the conversation. Yeah. Not that needs to be
Honorable
a factor,
mention.
but just like kind of putting it in parameters of like where it was for me this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of games. How we feeling? Should I?
I think Luke should take a
Okay.
first pass at it since it's your category.
If I were going to narrow it to say 3, my 3 in consideration would be Spilled, Cast and Chill, and probably Is the Seat Taken? I think they kind of represent the vibe of the category overall.
Can I just say that when we said spilled, we said it was the epitome of this category?
Yeah, that I
Yeah.
feel comfy given the overall winner to that one, if everyone's good with it.
Yes, definitely. Can I poke at the runners up
poke.
though? I think both you and Hooper really loved Keeper,
Yeah,
or
I
really
thought about
liked
that
and
as
appreciated Keeper. So you named Is the Seat Taken and
Cast and Chill.
Cast and Chill. I think Cast and Chill is sort of your Rusty's retirement
Sure.
for this year. How do we feel about Keeper instead of Is the Seat Taken?
Keeper isn't that short though.
That's true.
Like you can play it in short bursts.
It does fall into
But
that
it's-
less than 5-hour camp, but yeah, you're not wrong there. I do like it for this category in terms of like a mindset of like while
Yeah.
you're
It is,
playing it,
yeah.
like I said, there's no combat. You're solving puzzles. You're maneuvering through the world. You're vibing out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Keeper kind of had Concrete Genie energy, which is very rainy afternoon.
Yeah. I think it fits vibes, not necessarily length.
For some reason, it reminds me of the Pixar lamp.
Yep.
Like that is
Yep.
the energy that it
That's
gives.
that's not wrong.
Not
I
quite.
love Keeper, so I'm down to do. Would we do Keeper cast?
Let me
and
try it on
Chill?
for size.
Chill's literally in the title. I feel like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to beat that.
And I've literally played that game. Coffee one hand, mouse other hand, raining outside.
And well, let me ask this question, Claire. I know I'm getting ahead of us, but for Creatively Cozy, do you think Is the Seat Taken has a chance there?
Maybe. I don't know. Why
We
not?
will see. We will see.
It's creative. It's
Why not?
cozy.
I think I could make the case for it, but I
Yeah.
don't necessarily need it to take the category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel good about that if everyone's good. So we have for the Luke Lewis Chill Out with a Coffee on a Rainy Weekend Afternoon. The winner is Spilled, with runners-up Cast and Chill and Keeper. Shout out.
Yay.
Next up, we have Hooper's Puzzle Paradise Award. Joseph, would you like to read the nominees and maybe give a quick spiel about how you define this category?
Yeah, so nominees are Spirit Swap, Lo-Fi Beats to Match 3-2, Blueprints, Expelled, O, Seance at Blake Manor, and that's it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Yeah, for this category, I kind of look at, I love puzzles. I love puzzle games. I love games that really challenge my mind and strike the right balance of kind of, really make you think while also, yeah, so we're doing some stuff on the back end here. Really make you think while also not being like too obtuse. Like I hate puzzle games where it's like you look at the answer and you're like, okay, well, how was I ever supposed to figure that out? You guys didn't really lay out the clues well enough. Or maybe the puzzles take too long to solve or require too many steps, whatever. So we'll talk about all those in a second. But does anybody want to champion Spirit Swap? Because we haven't talked about that, I don't think, on the show yet.
Well, we had the devs on for an interview on March
Right.
11th of this year, so I would say if you're interested at all in Spirit Swap, it is a panel to pawn game in the Tetris Attack kind of vibe, where there's a single player that has a cool and queer narrative that you play, but also it's just a solid panel to pawn game. So shout out to the team, and we ended up meeting with Rajan from the team at PAX West and had like such a lovely interaction with them. So shout out. I think Spirit Swap is dope.
There you go. And then the other four we have already talked about within the past two episodes. So go back and listen to part one if you missed our explanation on Ooh and obviously Blueprints and Seance.
Did we talk about Seance actually?
I thought we did, but if not, for the people at home, Seance at Blake Manor is a puzzle game that came out in the back half of 2025. It is a kind of like detective game where you play as this hired PI to investigate the disappearance of a woman who disappeared from this hotel where a bunch of different eclectic characters are coming together to take part in a seance that is happening in a few days. And the goal is to figure out what happened to this woman before the seance takes place by talking to the residents of the hotel, learning their backgrounds and learning their motives for being where they are. Like Seance at Blake Manor, I didn't get to finish, so it's hard for me to like really champion this game. But from what I played, it's a very fun loop of just really being a detective, of like going into somebody's room, checking clues, analyzing how people speak or like the clues they give in their explanations, and using that to kind of put together a big story. And like the big pressure point on the game, like the big thing that kind of keeps you stressed or keeps you going, is that every time you investigate something, a minute passes in like real time. So every time you like investigate something to see if like it can help you out in your total investigation, time is slowly ticking by. And typically each like section of the game requires you to solve some issue before a certain time hits. So it's kind of one of those things where you hopefully can get it in the first try, but sometimes you'll just need to gather all the information, lose, and then start back over again and try and like be more precise with how you collect your information, which is interesting.
I played the prologue of this one, and it's one that I will 100% get back to this year, but I thought it was pretty cool. My understanding is the supernatural stuff also is relatively grounded, which seems cool, but who knew that two winners in this category might be step-based video games.
Also,
well, I mean, about as grounded as a witching can be.
I was also going to say
Fair
both
enough,
published by Raw Fury, which is cool. So they're
shout out Raw Fury. Yeah, for this category, I mean, when we're talking about puzzle mechanics, I mean,
I did a bit
blueprints
where I highlighted blueprints. Right off
I'm
the bat.
redoing the bit.
I don't really think there's really an argument. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about blueprints many more times in this episode, but the way that blueprints puts together his puzzle is something that I've never really seen before, where it is a roguelike, but also a architectural simulator, while also like chock full of secrets, right? And all of these things come together perfectly, where you have to get the rhythm right of like knowing exactly how to keep your run alive, like not using up all of your steps, while also knowing a lot about each room, right? Because each room has certain conditions where they typically show up in the draft pool, or when you use this gives you synergy with other rooms. So like just on that part alone, if there were no secrets and blueprints, that aspect of the puzzle game by itself, I think is really intriguing and really strong and very creative. And you can spend hours just mixing and matching rooms and trying to like get the perfect synergy, just like any other roguelike. I have a great time there. But adding on top that there are so many clues and like meta puzzles within the game where you start to notice things in rooms, you start to write down things, you start to like, you know, create words out of visuals that you're seeing throughout the game. Like there's like so many puzzles in one, and no matter what type of puzzle solver you are, I feel like at some point during the game you'll find something that plays to your strengths in terms of what you like, which is fantastic. I don't know if anybody wants to put words on that as well.
Yeah, I can gush about blueprints for the rest of this podcast if we wanted to. But specifically to the puzzle aspect of the game, some of the highest highs I've ever experienced in gaming were the aha moments in blueprints of having realizations, whether or not I could make it happen immediately in the game or in that specific run, but just figuring out what something meant and how it led into something else, or unlocking a core aspect of the game that drastically changed my day-to-day runs was so exciting. Or, you know, walking in the room while Claire was playing and seeing her do something. How did you find that? Oh, that's so interesting. I discovered this aspect of the game during my run, and like the group collaboration and group text messages with you, Joseph, it's just like so much fun. And I think to your point with the roguelike elements, it makes this game uniquely approachable for folks in a way that I think typically puzzle games that are this complex are not.
Yeah.
Like I think of The Witness, or I think of games like Fez that I really, really love, but those games are inherently pretty hardcore in the weeds puzzle game, whereas I think this Blueprints gets there, and that's there if you want it, but I think however much you take away from the experience is still interesting and meaningful and cool, thought-provoking, all that jazz. Just for a bit, and I'd love to have Claire weigh in on us, but just for the bit, Joseph, where is Blueprints at on your list, your top 10?
Should I
don't
say?
know, do we want to?
What are you doing here?
I'm just using it as ammunition, but maybe we don't need ammunition. Okay,
I'm not saying. I'm not letting anybody know. Maybe, I mean, it's in the top
on
5
your
for
list,
sure.
We'll say that.
It's in the top
It's on
5
your
for
list.
sure.
It's
yeah.
on
Cooper,
my list.
stop
It's
playing.
Actually, it's on.
Just say the number.
You don't know, buddy.
It's on-
You don't know.
I
have
think
some
I
surpri-
do.
I have
It's
some
on.
surprises on
You
there.
may have said it on another
I'll
podcast,
say-
so
I'll say
no.
this.
First of all, I
It's
told you
on
not to listen to that podcast.
all 4 of our lists. So, quite high. In my mind, not to steamroll this category, we're talking about runners-up. That's the real conversation in my mind.
In that vein, I will say... Oh, wait, sorry.
I was just going to segue if Claire had additional Blueprints thoughts, but I know it's also going to come up again. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off.
Go ahead,
because
Claire.
I cut you off with my bit.
No, I was just going to say that I feel like the way that the game teaches you how to solve its puzzles is really special. It's not like blocks of text are coming up being like, this is what you need to do this. It just kind of introduces things, and then you slowly unravel them. And like you said, Joseph, there's a bunch of different kinds of puzzles, and they're all interwoven in a really interesting way. And then Luke, what you were saying about the approachability is just like, I mean, your dad picked it up, didn't really get
My
it.
63-year-old father.
You were like, you gave him like one little hint
this game
about how to use the rooms. You were like, well, it changes every day, and this is the goal. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he like went home, and he is so far late game, and he just like dug in, and he called
And
a
this
couple weeks
isn't
later,
a
and he was
genre
like,
that he
hey, have you
plays.
gotten to the whatever? And he
Have you
like
drained the reservoir? Have you emptied the aquarium? Have you found this other aspect of the game that I didn't even know existed? Like these crazy things.
He said something a couple times where I'm like, that's insane. That if you are saying what I think you're saying, that's insane.
Our
and
family
we've
was
beat the
sitting
game.
around at Thanksgiving
Watching
while
him play.
Claire and I were cooking. My dad was playing, and my 80-year-old grandmother is watching my dad do runs of Blueprints. That is our household.
That's
It was
wild.
incredible.
Yeah, and I guess the craziest part is, and I haven't done this yet, there are speed runs now of Blueprints.
He
Oh
run
my
where he
God.
beats it in
They're
11
so
minutes
cool.
is crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I don't even know how you do that.
IGN, I'll link it because I think I linked it in our spoiler cast video, but I'll link it in the episode description. But IGN did a reaction video where they took one of the Games Done Quick streams and had the dev react to the speed
dev
run.
reacted, yeah.
So fun. Such a cool little in the weeds thing. I would say don't watch that if you, well, there's some arguments to be made of like if you watch that you might think this is the coolest game and want to know how it gets there, but
Yeah.
I would say like give it a go on your own and like try to make some discoveries because it is a fun like I don't know anything, let's go into this blind game as well. But
I will
Right.
say that I am glad that I did not see that video until I had also beaten the game.
there's a couple key aspects where like specifically with items that you find in the game that
Or routes where you're like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a path, but I'd already found a different path, so it's okay that that was given away, but
Sure.
I would have felt
Yeah.
less accomplished if I had seen the video before I beat the game myself.
Can I make a suggestion here?
please do.
Sure.
Did we all play Ooh? I played half of Ooh. Luke, you played a bit of Ooh. Hoop, you finished Ooh. I think Ooh is a runner-up here.
Ooh is lovely.
So
Yeah.
I have a
Ooh
question.
is a great, cool little game.
I have a very important
is really-
question.
Shootsky.
So, Ooh has the two dots over the O.
Yeah.
So does that make
No,
it
makes
O?
it ooh. Yeah,
Oh,
if
it
there's
makes
an
it ooh, I
it's
think.
like an
I thought
ooh.
You mean an umlaut?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought when the two dots were over it, you say the name of the letter. Is that wrong?
it is in the context of
That
like
is wrong.
Of this.
German or like
Oh,
Eastern
okay,
European.
okay.
Yeah, it's like a
Why is this
U
game
sound,
called? Well, I guess I do
to
know
my
why this game is called
understanding.
that. Never mind. Okay.
I
okay,
trust my
good to know.
German
So
professor.
it is
She was
ooh.
from Germany.
My mom always said it was like you add a tiny little bit of E to the letter.
Oh.
It's like a
I
vowel
mean,
extension ish. I've been saying ooh, and I think that's correct. But neither
well,
here nor there.
I will say, if Blueprints wasn't on this list, Ooh would probably be my runaway winner for this. I talked about it last episode, but there's no fat on this game. Like, this is, in my idea, like a near perfect puzzle game. It's not necessarily the best puzzle game I've ever played in my life, but it is just so tight and solid, and I don't think there's any wasted space, which is why I absolutely love this game. And also, it's like 3 hours. I beat it in 2 sittings, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I would have beaten it because I played it for our charity stream. If you want to check it out, you can check the live tab on YouTube and you can watch me play about half of it. I haven't gone back to it, and part of me goes, I don't know if I want to like start the second half because it's been 6 weeks. I might
Do a
just
clean run.
start
That's
over.
what I was.
You can
I did
do
a
it.
very
You can do
similar
it.
thing with it as well, but I was just so impressed at the mechanics, and they do so much with just a very simple mechanic with your little blob bomb, but really cool. I liked the art style. Forever, visually, I totally misjudged what this game was. I thought it was more in a Metroidvania style because it very much looked like Animal Well at a quick glance to me.
Yeah.
But way more simple, sleek puzzle than like big involved exploration. But really, really fun game and a very succinct experience.
So what's the second runner-up then?
Seance?
So I would argue probably Expelled because I have not finished Seance, so it's hard for me to argue for it. And Claire, you just talked about Expelled, obviously. And it sounds like a pretty solid puzzle game of almost Blueprints-esque, where you're trying to gather, or Seance at Blake Manor-esque, where you're trying to gather information through like a roguelike fashion. Do you think that the puzzles were, intriguing enough to include it here, or?
I feel like it was a little bit more like conversation based, almost like a Life is Strange game in terms of
I see.
relationships with people and getting them to trust you or not. What do you think, Jacob? I don't know if this I wanted to shout it out. I don't know if it necessarily hangs in this category.
One question.
Yeah, we were both surprised, Claire, when you heard him go. Oh, I was also like, it's good. I just don't know if it's like
Puzzle.
Yeah.
It's puzzly, but I don't think it's a puzzle game per se.
Same.
The one thing I'll say too, because Jacob, I haven't played Expelled yet, but I've played Overboard.
Mm-hmm.
Is Expelled doing things that are inherently different from Overboard in terms of like mechanics? Okay.
Not really.
So
No.
I might give it to Seance personally then, just for
that's what I
doing the
thought we were
unique
gonna
time
go with
element. If we're
Lock
good
it
with
in.
that.
It's not like you're solving
Get in.
multiple different puzzles. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a it's
Hey,
a
I'm
cool,
not trying to argue for
I
this
would
game.
say
I
it's
was-
still a
I
puzzle
thought it was a
game.
puzzle
I
game.
think it's a narrative driven puzzle game, and the narrative is doing the heavy lifting
Yeah.
in the moment to
Yeah.
moment. But yeah, definitely a cool game.
I bet it has a puzzle tag on Steam. I'm gonna check
That's a
that
fair-
while we
fair
announce
call.
the winners.
I think it warrants having one personally, but 2 cents. Okay, I'm good with this. If everybody else is good with this,
It does not have a puzzle game tag. Investigation, interactive fiction, comic book, hand drawn.
Okay.
Those are the tags.
okay, fair enough. All right, so for Hooper's Puzzle Paradise Award, we have the overall winner going to Blueprints, with his runners-up going to Ooh and Seance at Blake Manor. Lovely trio of games there. Next up, we have Claire's Creatively Cozy Award. Claire, would you like to read the nominees?
Yes. So once again, just definitely leaning into the creative part of this category of like what is doing something different. Yeah, thank you. So the nominees are Blueprints, 30 Birds, Expelled, Slime Rancher 2, Consume Me, Winter Burrow, Spilled, Tiny Bookshop, Is This Seat Taken, and Make Room.
Have we talked about all of these games at some point
I don't think we
during these convos?
I think maybe we're missing 2. Like I think we've talked
Yeah.
a touch about 30 Birds,
Yeah.
and then a touch about Consume Me, but I
Okay.
think those are the 2 we haven't
And
really
Tiny Bookshop, I
gone
guess,
in
was
on.
kind of, you touched on it, but then
I
we were
didn't
like, put a
talk
pin in
about
this
it.
one
Yeah.
for cozy
Did we already
category.
talk about Slime Rancher 2? I can't remember if that was
I
on this
believe
podcast.
We did.
Okay.
Let's scroll.
We did,
hold
yeah.
on.
Good. Oh yeah, underrated.
And we talked about
remember it.
Consume Me as
Yeah.
well, actually.
We did. Did we talk about
Oh.
Winter Burrow though?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I
if
just
we
talked
talked
about
We
it on
just
Luke's
did
category.
during
Like high level.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like a super deep game from what I've played.
The one thing I'll say for
Okay.
Winter Burrow that I think definitely belongs in this category is I think it took the survival genre,
And
which
made it
inherently
cozy.
isn't a cozy game
Yeah.
genre, and made it cozy.
Yeah,
So that, to your creative piece, I think definitely
yeah. That's why I put
is
it
in the
here.
convo.
Yeah, for sure. So just going down this list, I feel like after talking about Blueprints in the puzzle category, I don't necessarily think it needs to be in this category.
Okay.
I thought it was a cozy game to play, but it's also unsettling, and it's not like a traditionally cozy like style of game. So, is anybody else
Not opposed.
thinking
I
about?
don't associate it with
Nope.
cozy
Get it
No.
out of here.
necessarily.
I think Consume Me is kind of the same, where it's anxiety inducing, where in my mind it would not be cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Aesthetically, I could see it, but there's a lot going on in that game that's not
Content-wise.
cozy.
I will say that
Any game that makes me anxious is not cozy.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was cozy to play because I live in that place 24/7, so it wasn't like
So
it was
like a cozy catharsis.
it was
some
cathartic
would say.
because it wasn't like it was inducing new anxiety. It was just like, yes, that is what it feels like. Thank you, video game.
I hear that.
It's like
you want to leave it on then?
It's
Or?
so nice that I can go out for a pizza date and that only counts as one cheat day and doesn't screw up my entire month. Anyway.
So I'm leaving it on.
Leave it on.
Okay. Cool.
I can talk about Tiny Bookshop.
Sure. Yeah.
Since I said let's put a pin in that. I just started playing Tiny Bookshop right at the very end of the year, and I had seen that like you got your little camper trailer bookshop that you're wheeling around and you get to decorate it and people come buy your books and it's like a management sim. Cute, very cool. I was not fully expecting the way that there are real books in your shop and the mechanic of you have to help people find the book, and they're like, I'm looking for this, and they give you a little like spiel about what they're looking for, and then you have to look at what's in your bookshop on that day and pick a book that matches their criteria, and then that can either help you do well sales wise or not, and then it is the management. So if you're getting money, then you can use the money to do these other things and go these other places and make more money or not. But there's also like characters you're interacting with. But yeah, the element of picking out the books for people I thought was very interesting, and I don't know if it's been really done before. Like real books and like synopses pulled from I don't know, like Goodreads or whatever, where they will just, and Luke was like, this feels like copyright infringement. Like, I'm pretty sure that anything that's in the game is, you can find it on a Google search. They're not taking actual text from the books. But it's also like, it was so cool to see books that I've read and then hear someone's description and be like, I know that this character would like this book, and not necessarily because of what it says, but because I know what the book feels like because I've read it, and that was so cool.
Yep.
To be clear, I wasn't like poo-pooing the game for having real titles. I was like, that's awesome. I'm just worried about the dev, and I want them to be okay, legally speaking, but I thought that aspect of it was really neat. Yeah.
Library of Congress.
Totally.
You go in Library of Congress and you can see, and it has the synopsis and it has the date published and the author. Like, all that stuff is common, like publicly available information. So
I'd heard Brendan Bigley from Wavelengths talk about how cool it was to just, obviously having read books, to be like, I know what is in this book, and therefore I can just off the hop make a recommendation.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. It's like this was like, I'm looking for a coming of age story, and I'm like, I have Scott Pilgrim on the shelf. Like, it's like something that's fun and whimsical and has pictures. I'm like, yay!
Oh, very cool.
I need to play that.
It's really, and you also do get to decorate your bookshop.
Say less. Say less.
Say less.
No, that game is very cozy, very creative, really fun.
Do you want to talk about 30 Birds in the lens of this category?
I think once again, like, very creative. And I'm sure that this will come up again in the art direction category, because it is just so cool how it plays with 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional spaces. Because it's basically top down, you're walking up and down the area, and then you turn around a corner and the whole world flips, because it's basically the world is printed on these lanterns floating in the sky. But then it's also really cool because you'll go inside, and then now you're in a different 3D, 2D space where you're walking around, and it's really interesting. And then I also love the way that it ties in like Persian folklore, and like you are finding these birds that are like supernatural creatures with powers, but they're also just kind of like people, and they're like, some of them are kind of like dicks, and some of them are just like weird, and the characters are all really kooky, and the main character has this like dry wit, but then there's also this mystery you're trying to solve. I'm not super far in the game, but from what I have played, every time I do something, I'm like, this is cool. This is cool. So
having not played it but looked at it, it very much gives Link Between Worlds. Also, I know, Hooper, you're nodding. You played Fez this year, and it very much also gives that same effect as Fez.
100%, yeah.
Where I hope we recognize it in the art category, because I think there's very few things that are as cool this year as 30 Birds.
It's very cool.
Claire, I'd love to know what your like faves for this category, where your head's at, generally speaking.
I would love to know what other people are thinking. I feel like I just
Well, I say
talked
that
a
because
lot.
it's your category. Like, I have thoughts, but I feel like you're the like arbiter of all of these games, whereas I can speak to a handful.
I feel like there are a handful of games in this category that are really doing something new and cool, or maybe not like totally new, but definitely different than what we're used to seeing. And then there are some that do cozy really, really well,
Sure.
but not necessarily in a way that feels super different. The latter, I would put Make Room and Slime Rancher in because they are very cozy, very fun.
You mean in the known quantity, but does
Yeah.
it really well? Got
Not, I mean, interior design game, and I mean, Slime Rancher collecting the little guys and harvesting their poo. It's when I say it like that, it sounds different, but
That's
it's not super
cozy.
different than
No, I'm
like
kidding.
I don't know, any other cozy game where you are ranching creatures and getting resources in turn. It's really pretty. I think that Spilled and Winterborough and Expelled have really interesting mechanics also, and are putting a twist on the known quantity. But for me, I think the category is between Tiny Bookshop and 30 Birds and maybe Consuming. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Okay. I feel like you made a really solid case for Tiny Bookshop, personally.
Yep. Agreed.
Vibes, mechanics, how it made you feel. Seems like a slam dunk to me.
Jacob, do you want to make a what's the word I'm looking for? Do you want to argue for is the seat taken being a runner-up, or even first place?
No, I don't. I think if I could make
Wow.
a case for maybe runner up, but Tiny Bookshop, having seen it, been excited about it, hearing your excitement of it, knowing what the concept is, I was like, oh, so Tiny Bookshop is our winner here. That's
how
where I thought we
I
were
feel
going.
as well.
That's cool.
In terms of runner-up, I might make the case for Winterborough. Like I said, just because I do think taking an inherently hardcore genre like the survival genre and making it feel cozy, approachable, still engaging, quite cool. I only played the demo though, so I
Has
defer to you
anyone
with the
else
full
played
game.
Winterborough since it came out in full?
It's on Game Pass for
No,
folks
I
at
also
home
played
if
the
you wanna
demo.
check it out, so.
I played the demo, and the demo was definitely, you're going to be here for 15 minutes, so I'm going to show you a range of what the game has to offer.
Sure.
I thought the actual game was a little slow to start
Okay.
with,
Fair
and
enough.
I kind of fell off of it.
Okay,
And it was
totally fair then.
it was just a little slow getting
I
started.
was kind of surprised the game came out and I didn't hear anybody talk about it. It's one of those ones that was kind of a darling in the
Yeah.
indie space, and then came out to almost no
Yeah.
Reviewed
fanfare.
quite well,
Unfortunately,
and then the reviews were kind of
Kinda
mixed
mid.
from what I saw.
I felt like it has a good, like, it has good bones, and I will keep playing it, but it was a little slow to start, and I don't necessarily think it hangs with some of these other games that are firing on all cylinders the entire time, like Consumi is. Once you're in Consumi, you're in. And it does not stop. But also the lack of the cozy, I can see that.
Make Room seems like a runner up here. I don't know how you feel, Claire.
Has anyone else played it besides me?
I've touched it, but I haven't like beaten it. My only thing with Make Room, and it's just a personal preference thing, it's not a fault of the game, but design aesthetic games, I had the same issue with Tiny Glade, but where it's like self-driven and it's not really about you being given objectives, it kind of loses me. But like I said, that's a personal preference thing, and that's what the game is intending to be, is an open-ended, self-guided experience.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I need there to be a reason why I'm doing something.
I want
need
to
there to be a
design
reward.
a home
Yes.
for someone or have like a parameter. Granted, you can,
Yeah.
in your own heart, you can say like, I am designing this for such and such and set those guidelines for yourself, but I just lose interest
It was
personally.
definitely I do like the like moving things around and making
aesthetically,
colors.
it's
like
awesome.
it's fun.
Yeah, no, it's super fun.
But the kinds of games I really get sunk into and is like, I need to do this so I can do this so I can do this so I can do this. Like I put hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into Minecraft over the years because you are working towards a goal. And Subnautica, building that base is fun. Even though there are fewer options for decorating, because it's actually challenging to get all the resources, and you have to go out and venture out, and then you get attacked, and maybe you die, and you have to go back to where you died and get your stuff, and it's just like this loop. Whereas if there aren't those stakes, I'm just like, okay, this was fun.
yeah.
I'm done.
If I may, we're talking about a final runner-up is where we're at right now, right? Because you want 30 Birds as a runner-up and then Tiny Bookshop overall? Or that's kind of the vibe of the room?
I think that makes sense.
If I may lobby for Is This Seat Taken?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll
think
also
at this
push
point,
for Is This Seat
It's a
Taken.
lovely game. I think it is one of the most wholesome, pun intended, with Wholesome Presents Publishing, but a really wholesome puzzle game. It's fun, it's cute, it's short and sweet,
Yeah.
it plays really well. I like the physical mechanic of dragging the person to the...
They dangle
They're
so
just cute
funnily.
little folks, you know?
I also love the little bits so that they'll say, like, when you successfully pair, and then they start, like, talking to each other. At least it was that way in the demo, and there's little, like, tidbits of interaction. I don't know. It's very cute.
And to the creative piece, I can't think of a puzzle game in recent memory that is, like, as approachable and as low stakes, but as satisfying
Yeah.
as Is This Seat Taken.
Yeah,
So-
and it like builds up.
And I didn't finish it.
I didn't either.
But I very much... But I played enough of it to go, it'll
It's-
just
yeah,
layer
yeah.
on
Well, and
additional
it
levels
keeps-
of complexity
yeah.
here. I know
I
what
also
this
played,
is.
it must have been the demo, but I played the wedding level as we were planning our wedding, and it hit so hard. It was just like, this is what it feels like to make a wedding seating chart. Ah.
My favorite was the concert level, and the guy's like,
concert
I want to
level's
be
fun.
next to the subwoofer.
Concert's good, too.
Put me next to
I want to feel the vibrations in my body.
if my ears aren't bleeding at the end of this, you failed.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a
So that'd
good
be my
runner-up.
runner-up, but...
I feel like you guys keep trying to say, what about this game? And I'm like, nah.
Do it.
So definitely, yeah.
Well, I think I personally
sorry,
was
wrong
just trying
color.
to get a read of where you were at, because I think since you've played the vast majority of all these games,
Yeah.
you have the best context for how to compare them.
Yeah,
where
no, that's
if
fair.
we've only touched a couple, it feels trickier. Okay, cool. So if we're good with this, we have Claire's Creatively Cozy Award. Overall winner going to Tiny Bookshop, with runners-up 30 Birds and Is the Seat Taken. Love it. All right, moving on to a banger in all facets. Best music. Jacob, would you like to read our nominees for this one?
I'd love to. Our nominees in Best Music are Clear Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, After Love EP, Rift of the Necrodancer, Hades 2, Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Wheel World, Sonokuni, and Sword of the Sea.
Excellent.
Hell yeah. Lots of good,
So good.
stuff.
Lots of good stuff.
Joseph, would you like to start the discussion on this one? Where does your heart immediately go that you want to talk about?
Look, Lorian Testard was my Spotify Artist of the Year. Literally. He was my Spotify Artist of the Year. So I can't make any argument for anything other than the Clear Obscure soundtrack. It was my favorite part of the game. It was beautiful. It encapsulated the vibe of the game perfectly with like the French instrumental like nods to like the sound, even the singing and having everything in French. Holy moly. Probably like for a game that came out of nowhere, like this brand new indie game, this might be one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. I have the vinyl on the way. I already bought it. So, I mean, like, what else can I say? Like, I love a lot of other games on this category as well, particularly shout out Woodkit, which we'll talk about. But man, Expedition 33 blew me away and still does.
Yeah, can't overemphasize everything you said. Totally agree. I was blown away by the variety of genre. You know, we had cool vocal arrangements, cool orchestral stuff, electronic music. Later in the game, you got like crazy club bangers with saxophone battle music, like just nuts.
Yes.
And it's all good. It's all very good. And I believe this is the game too where the devs found the composer on SoundCloud.
Yes.
Which is like a crazy story.
And it's their first gaming soundtrack
absolutely
ever.
Nuts. And seeing them perform live at the Game Awards was such a highlight, and you can tell the talent very apparent there. But yeah, the soundtrack is incredible in every sense. I want to quickly shout out one that I think this is the only category time that this game will probably come up today, aside from like personal list mentions potentially. But Mario Kart World, I would argue, has the best Nintendo score in recent years. I think that game gets a lot of flack, and I think in some ways rightfully so, but the music is so much fun. I think it capitalizes on a ton of different Nintendo franchises. I think each world and style fit the tone of that game so well. Inspired use of harmonica, if we're being honest, like truly inspired. Every track that came on in that game, I just had so much fun listening to, and I think it really elevated that game for me, where it was like the reception around the game was mixed, but not enough folks are talking about the soundtrack, in my opinion. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, I agree completely. I love all the different genres and the way that the music tracks blend together, especially when you're exploring different areas during the, what do they call it, I'm having a hard time with nouns today.
You're good.
You know what I'm talking about. The mode where it whittles down.
Knockout
like the
mode.
free
Knockout
roam mode?
Thank you. Where you're going
knockout.
smoothly in between the different
It's
tracks
like the
without
interludes
stopping.
between
And the way it
courses.
fades from one track to the next in those moments is very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for helping me with the very difficult words.
Yeah, similar shout out to Donkey Kong as well, and I think music is even more intrinsically tied to that game with Pauline and the narrative aspect, but I think the music in that game is also very good.
Having Jenny Kid come out at the Game Awards for the medley was
cool.
one of the
Super
coolest
fun.
moments of the entire Game Awards. I'm like, oh man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jenny Kid. Can I just rhyme off some quick ones real fast? Sono Kuni is one that we were turned on to by the Indie Game Awards. It is a Japanese hip-hop OST that very much reminded me of, non-derogatory to like the Teriyaki Boys, but better, where that like Teriyaki Boys, think of the Tokyo Drift soundtrack. I'm thinking of like the most ubiquitous thing that people understand, that one song from Tokyo Drift. It's kind of like that same raw hype energy. It could go in a Hotline Miami game. I would strongly encourage, if you want something in that energy, in that vibe, go for it. Listen to it. It's cool. I had Death Stranding 2 on here. I know, Hoop, you mentioned it. I think it's both Woodkid's album and also some of the licensed tracks. It is unfortunate that the artist, that Low Roar, my understanding was that they were supposed to have a larger impact on the soundtrack, but unfortunately passed away. But there are moments... Death Stranding 2 is like best use of music, where there are several moments in the games where certain tracks play and it's rad. To the Wilder from Woodkid and also Rainy's theme from Woodkid are among my favorite tracks of the entire year, but I've not said it yet. I love the soundtrack for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I think it's rad. The last one I'll talk about is Afterlove EP. It features both like created music for it and also licensed tracks from the band Lalfa Alpha. There's some super, super good stuff in there, even though like I don't understand the language. Just the vibe of the indie pop vibe of the songs that are licensed on there, rad.
Real quick to double back to Death Stranding 2, gotta give a shout out to On the Beach, the Caroline Polachek title track and the whole thing with Roger from Kinda Funny and giving Kojima the CD, like just that story alone and how it led to cool music in the game is so neat to me. I also really enjoyed the music in Afterlove EP, and music is such a core aspect of the narrative of that game, so I think cool nod as well. Other shout-outs. Claire, do you want to chat about
Hades?
Hades would be a big one for you.
I think that the Hades
it's a big one for all of
soundtrack
us, but...
is awesome. A lot of the like really heavy rock tracks in the battles, it just hits. A lot of the soundtrack is more Hades, but it's so good. And I also wanted to shout out Sword of the Sea, which I did not play, but I was around while you were playing it, and I kept turning and being like, this is awesome music. I just kept being like,
Austin
so
Wintory,
good.
Shuriken soundtrack.
Really.
On my Spotify now, so big fan of the music and Sword of the Sea, and also just the visuals, very pretty. But that's not what this category is. So, and also Claire Obscure was in our wedding, so I feel like that needs to be shouted out.
That is true. That is very true. Started the wedding procession, actually, with Joseph's entrance music.
Officially chosen piece of music.
Also, on Death Stranding 2, Elle Fanning version of To the Wilder. Pretty crazy. I didn't know she could sing, but she's in there doing her thing. And there's one other song in there. I mean, just the whole... Go listen to the DS2 on the Beach Woodkid album. Like I said, I didn't know about Woodkid until this album came out, or until Death Stranding came out, and I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I will say, not having played Death Stranding 2 yet, I do think it's incredibly cool how there's cool, like, orchestral instrumental stuff in that game, but the number of like popular artists that then made music to be included in this game, granted, pedigree, a lot of money involved, sure, but it is very neat because I think we have the big discussion every year where it's like, say like a Wheel World, for example, has a ton of cool licensed music, but that was more like curation of existing music, which I think definitely still deserves to be in the conversation, but original songs written for a given game, it's hard not to give it up to that in some way.
Can I add one note on Hades 2 really quick? Supergiant soundtracks are always rad as hell. Particularly with this one, I love the Scylla boss fights where there is vocalized tunes. Where the song "I'm gonna claw your eyes out, then drown you to death." I never got sick of it, but the coolest part, and this is like a very slight spoiler for Hades 2. Again, skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to hear it. There are additional songs that come later that were surprising and fun. So shout out to the Hades 2 devs for not only having some great original tunes, but working in the voice actors for the specific bosses who are musical and coming up with multiple tracks for them.
Yeah,
that's very cool. I mean, I don't think Hades 2 hangs on this list for me personally, even though it's like a known quantity and we knew it was going to be good going in, but you can't overstate how good Darren Korb and team are at incorporating music, the audio, the way it's utilized in the game. It hits every time, and I think they scaled it up in meaningful ways this time. And I know I believe they brought in Austin Wintory too for some of the above ground music in the back half of that one, which is incredibly neat.
They did,
Also shouting out within the Scylla boss fight that as you take out members of the band, the music is affected by that. Very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you lose to them, there's another track that they play when you lose to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Rift of the Necro Dancer? Was that a
we
Jacob
did not.
pick?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that was mine. So again, this is almost like most music,
Sure.
but in my mind, there was no one track. Like everything's great. But there's no one track in my playthrough or like my playing of this game and listening to the soundtrack where I'm like, ooh, a banger, or ooh, one that I'm going to add to my Spotify for forever. Where with, not that that's the qualifier here, but Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Afterlove EP, these had tracks that I'm going to plan that have already been added to my Spotify. Even Wheel World gets there, where there's tracks in the Wheel World soundtrack where I'm like, ooh, I could listen to this, long term. Shout out Rift the Necrodancer, obviously music a core part of that game, but it all sort of just washed over me as being very good.
Right on. Okay, so looking at this list as a whole, would it be helpful? I don't mean to be the spokesperson, but I have a handful that I'm like reading the room here. I think are still in conversation. So we have Claire Obscure. That feels like a lock.
Yep.
Yeah.
That feels like the winner.
I think that's a lock for the winner. Yeah. I think Death Stranding 2 is still in the conversation based on the room.
Yep.
I think Hades is still in the conversation based on the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into, I could see an Afterlove. I could see one of the Nintendo entries potentially. All of these are good. You know what I mean? That's kind of the Nintendo picks are kind of a me thing of like I feel strongly that one of them should be in there, but I don't know if I'd put them over Death Stranding or Hades personally.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think based on me and Hoop's passion for DS2, I think DS2 is a runner-up, and then in the second runner-up spot, it is either, to your point, Afterlove, Hades, or Mario Kart World.
It's probably Hades personally. I'm the defender of the Nintendo games, and I think the Mario Kart World I think is the most underrated music of the year potentially, but I can't argue that it's better than Hades. Yeah, of these big titles we're talking about.
Yeah.
I could for sure live with Death Stranding 2 and Hades 2.
I mean, that's a great trio. That's a perfect trio of like you look at that. We'll look back at that in 10 years and be like, yep, well done.
We got it.
Correct.
With Death Stranding 2, I know I also said best use of music in game, but there are several moments where you're like coming up on a sunrise or it's golden hour, and like Kojima and team just figured out the right moment to play, a song from Low Roar, or a specific song from Woodkid, and it's out of these three, I think it's best use in world of music, in addition to a lot of banger tracks.
Awesome. All right. So with that, best music overall goes to Claire Obscure Expedition 33, with runners-up Death Stranding 2 On the Beach and Hades 2. Congratulations.
Yay.
Moving on to best visuals technical. Our nominees are Donkey Kong Bonanza, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Sword of the Sea, Dispatch, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Split Fiction, Ghost of Yote, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Metroid Prime 4, Beyond. So I have a clarification question for the group as we're heading into this, because we have this category for technical, and then we have the next category for visuals highlighting art direction. There's some crossover with some of these, and I just want to confirm that they're where we want them to be.
Dispatch, for example.
Sword of the Sea.
Sword of the Sea, for example. I also could argue that the Nintendo titles potentially. I put the Nintendo titles on this list, or at least Metroid on this list, because I think it's the first time we're really talking about like 4K visual fidelity when it comes to Nintendo stuff. But I do think the art direction overall is quite good. So how is the current standings of where things are? Does it make sense to folks for conversation, or do we want to boot anything from technical and put it in art direction, or vice versa?
Okay. We can live with it.
I guess I just want to touch on Dispatch, because it's a good example. We have it in both. The characters, the way they're designed, I think impressive, and also the way that it moves, for lack of a better term, also impressive. So I think it actually works in both.
I think so as well. Yeah. So I'm cool with that. I'm good with it as long as everyone is. I just wanted to flag it because as I was looking at it, I was like, there's some crossover.
Yeah, and Sword of the Sea is one that I played it on PlayStation 5, and the draw distance, the frame rate, I'd love to know. It was probably 60. That seems like a 4K 60 game, I'll confirm.
Real smooth. Yeah.
But it was so delicious and smooth.
Delicious. Love it.
Delicious.
Yeah. I can chat briefly about Yote. We haven't talked about it really on content thus far. I think the visuals of the game are one of my favorite aspects of the game. I think a lot of folks point to Yote as more Tsushima, which they're not wrong. I think it's the best version of that series, but I think in a lot of ways it is a known quantity, but you can't understate how compelling visually that game is and how cool just the opening moments as you're looking at Mount Yote and you're riding through poppy fields and blades of grass and the way the wind interacts with the trees. They just continue to ratchet up how grounded that game feels and how compelling it is to explore that world and the vivid colors. And as the game gets later, you're exploring different environments. You go to this crazy snow area where the particle physics are absolutely nuts. The cutscenes are on another level for this one. So on a technical level, it definitely falls into the camp of like, you have non-gaming family over, you want to show them how far video games have come in the past couple decades. Like, this is a front runner for most impressive looking PS5 game for sure.
I got Tsushima PS5 recently for Black Friday, and I'm excited to bust into it and eventually play Yote. But Yote, seeing it, impressive.
Yeah. And I haven't played it, but I would say similar things about Death Stranding 2 visually. Like, that game's really firing on all cylinders, and every clip I see set to music. We were touching on, the golden hour moments, Jacob, of like, it looks really impressive.
Jacob Geller talks often about like the moon moment in that game also, where there's a very cool moment where you just come up on a full moon. There's also great snow moments in that too. So Decima Engine, who knew it could just continue to fucking deliver beautiful visuals.
Yeah, Death Stranding 2 is like one of the few games. I'm kind of one of the arguers that we've like kind of peaked in visuals. Like,
how real
I don't
can
know
it
how much
look?
better. Yeah. But Death Stranding 2 was one of the games this year that kind of like broke me for a little bit, where the game starts off and you're on this mountain cliff, and Norman Reedus is just looking off into the distance, and it's a part of a cutscene that transitions into gameplay, and I had no clue. It was one of those moments where I was like, had no clue I could control him right now. This looks incredible. Also, all the faces and particularly the environments and the faces just look incredible, unbelievable. Especially, I know a lot of people talk about Troy Baker looks incredible. Even basically every character, to be honest. And a lot of people talk about a specific level where there's a bunch of like fireworks and whatnot going off that looks like it should break your PS5, but it all runs perfectly. They did the dang thing.
Awesome.
And can we also mention quickly, because we don't have a category for it, but Troy Baker was nominated for Indiana Jones at the Game Awards for performance. I think that's a travesty. I think he should have been nominated for his role as Higgs in DS2, because he is in his fucking bag for that performance.
Awesome. Joseph, another one I'd love to hear about. You dove pretty deep into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 past few weeks.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that one in this category?
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I think really excels, particularly for me in the like character models. And I was not really interested in a non-fantasy medieval setting, but when I started playing the game very early on, you see how expressive the characters are, and obviously there's some fantastic voice acting too, but it really kind of sells the emotion of even the smallest side quests, where you really get invested because of how the characters are reacting to you, and like the performances these random people are giving off. And I was really impressed by that. I was definitely not expecting it. I don't know what the budget for this game was or anything like that. I've never played a Kingdom Come game before. So I think visually it really does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like immersing you in that time period.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's been the most striking part. Every time I have a copy, I'm excited to jump in at some point this year, but just to walk around the world and feel truly grounded in that time period that I feel like is not readily explored in current game releases is really exciting.
Is there any jank in that one? Because I would almost think like Euro jank for that game.
Yeah. I honestly have not really found much jank. If it runs pretty well, it even runs really well on Steam Deck, surprisingly. It looks like one of those games that shouldn't be able to run on Steam Deck, but actually is probably the best game of that caliber that I've played on Steam Deck so far. So, I mean, there might be jank. I still have probably another 20 plus hours to put into it to find some jank, but so far it's not too bad.
Right on.
Nice.
Claire, would you like to chat about some of your picks for this list, your highlights?
I don't think I put very much on this list that wasn't already on here by other people, but
Fair enough.
I'll shout out Donkey Kong Bonanza, which you obviously played a lot more of. I thought the textures were really great. I think we both talked about should this one be on art direction or technical, and we both were like, what the fur and the grass and the fact that you can like break everything and it still works, but the camera is also weird, so worth
bad.
a shout out, probably not gonna
Very
be
weird.
ending up highlighted, like physically highlighted on the list.
That's probably a good segue into talking about Metroid while we're talking about Nintendo games. I feel like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is the first Nintendo game that I have felt compelled to be like, Claire, come look at the screen right now. Look at what is happening. Look at the color
I feel
palette,
like this is Breath of the Wild
visual
erasure, but-
fidelity. Part of this, I think, is the novelty of like first Metroid Prime game in 4K, like really running at a technical level. But I think the game looks really great, and I don't know if I wouldn't put it above a DS2 or a Yote or even a Kingdom Come, but I think it's the best looking Nintendo game ever. Definitely, like
More
on the
than
Switch too.
Breath of the Wild? Tears of the Kingdom?
I haven't
I was
played
gonna ask that same thing.
in 4K.
Fair
in
enough.
fairness, so it's potential, but I guess maybe like Switch 2 proper title, is that fair to say? But
Yeah, also the weirdness around tech in the Switch 2, because I think it's 1440p gets you 60 or 120 frames, and then you can do 4K 60. Metroid Prime 4 in handheld and docked, it's different resolutions.
that's correct.
Not to
Yeah.
not to make it cool little Nintendo shit again, but or not cool little like annoying little shit.
It adds up,
But
though.
if
to
you
the
say it looks
overall
great,
experience.
Yeah.
Granted, I haven't played in handheld. I've only played docked on a 4K TV, so that's probably part of it as well. I don't think it wins the category, but I wanted to give it its flowers because I do think it looks really nice. We haven't talked about Clair Obscur specifically for this category, but that game looks incredible considering independent team, small team, debut game. It hangs with a Final Fantasy Square Enix title for me in terms of visual fidelity and motion capture and all of the above,
Yeah.
personally.
And just the designs of the enemies and the world is very cool.
Yeah, and I think this game started in UE4 and then moved to UE5, and so there's there's some weird UE4 shit in there, like ladders are weird, but apart from that, the draw distance on the map specifically, when you're on Esquier and you can see the entire world, is fucking
Yeah.
brilliant.
No, I agree.
Flower petals too.
Flower pouch, yeah.
We haven't talked about split fiction in this category.
I just think it's cool how it does so many different things, and every different world is really visually cool, but also looks good and solid, even though they are going to so many different places and each one is a little bit different. I think that that's pretty impressive.
And the
No
ending
spoilers?
sequence.
That's
go
exact same
Hoop,
thing I
go
was
for
gonna
it.
say. I was just gonna say for no spoilers, but the last level, particularly in terms of technical, for sure. I'm pretty much everybody that plays that last level is like, how the hell did they do this? Like, this is insane. X, Y, and Z.
And the fact that the split screen and you can be doing completely different things and have different particle physics and visual things happening, and it is very smooth, I think deserves a shout out as well.
We've not mentioned Dispatch at all on this podcast at all.
Not.
Have we?
Claire and Jacob and I all played it over the holiday break. Hoop, I think you dabbled as well.
I have played it.
Cool.
I have
The
played
whole
it.
thing?
Not the whole thing.
So
Not the whole
you-
thing. Not the whole thing.
Visually speaking, though,
some.
you've seen what it has to offer. It looks like an incredible Netflix animated show, but it's a video game that you can interact with. And on a technical level, I think the decision to move away from like actually controlling your character and interacting with objects and things in real time into this more cinematic experience was a great decision, and it works buttery smooth. I had no technical issues whatsoever when we were playing, and
It looks really good.
it just the fidelity of these characters, it just
It
looks
looks like
awesome.
Invincible.
It looked if you told me it was a spin-off of Invincible, I would believe you.
So
Not
what
split
moves to the top here?
What's everyone's favorite individually on this list, just to see if we have any crossover going?
Everyone say their favorite on 3.
I have like 3 that I'm like, it could go
Okay.
either way.
1, 2, 3.
Claire Obscura.
Death Stranding.
But also like if it's 1A, 1B for me, probably with those two.
Yeah. And then I think Split Fiction, just because of the ending, needs to be here.
Eh?
I'm not mad at it.
Look, I'm not mad at that.
I think the only
How many times? I was just gonna say, how many times have we said I'm not mad at that over the course of these 2
I think
episodes?
if we put a shirt out for Goaty,
Put it on a
that would
t-shirt.
be- The only one I would poke at that isn't in this 3 is Yote, but I don't know how much of that is an obligation.
We also have not finished Split Fiction, so you might feel different.
True.
And I feel
I
like
haven't
we should
seen
hear
this
what
ending
they're saying
sequence.
about the ending sequence.
I think if you've seen a trailer,
And I don't
My-
even want to
if
spoil
you've
it.
seen a trailer for Yote, you know what that game looks like. You know what I mean? So
My support for Luke and my support for, I don't even know, not support for Split Fiction is that the last level is very cool, but a lot of the rest of that game kind of just looks like a video game TM. Like the bad guy, you look at the bad guy and you're like, that guy looks like a stock man from some sort of place.
Fair enough.
I could lose Split Fiction
Okay.
here. If you're like, the graphical fidelity on Yote is crazy, it's just that
It looks
in my
crazy.
mind, we have DS2 hit that.
it is crazy, but I wouldn't say it's like
But think about the final boss fight with all the like Yinko leaves flying.
no, you don't have to
around.
convince me that it
The
belongs in
grass
this list.
textures.
I beat the game, and yeah, I came away being like, this is visually one of the most impressive. I guess what I'm saying is like, it didn't surprise me that it looked good. If that makes sense. Like, I expected it to look good, I played it, and it looked real good. Whereas I was kind of taken aback by some of these other picks. But I agree with Joseph in terms of Split Fiction that I don't necessarily think, of what I've played, I think it's incredible that it functions visually as well as it does. Claire's just trying things on for size right now. We've highlighted...
Yeah, what are you
Kingdom
doing
Come
over there, bud?
Deliverance.
What the heck?
Like,
Having seen both of those games, I would take Yote over Kingdom Come.
How dare you? No, I'm playing.
I mean, it's just a
probably
personal
would
preference
as
at
well.
that point to me of like, I'm not as big of a medieval guy as I am a Japanese samurai Kurosawa film fan?
I think
Okay, you
Yote.
need to-
I wish I would have played it because I really don't have any leg to stand on because I haven't played the dang game. But I think it looks pretty good from the trailers I've seen, which is not a great argument.
I would also say that Dispatch is in the conversation for me, but it doesn't.
That one feels more art direction leaning.
I like
Yeah.
the style of that
I'm more
one
about
more.
art
Yeah,
direction.
and like specific character design and just like color palette and this and that. Yeah, I could see that. I'm good with Yote, but I'm also fine with Split Fiction. I'd defer to the group on this one.
There are some of the worlds in Split Fiction also that are very generic. I
Yeah.
think the like Tron inspired stuff is generic, where the fantasy stuff is not. But there are some cool moments in some of the side stories, like the barbecue,
Yeah.
where
The sheer
slight spoiler, you
variety.
become a hot
the
dog.
Kite one was also really cool, even though I was really bad at it.
Yep.
And I think the fact that they could get high fidelity out of like, now you're flying a dragon, now you're on a kite, now you're being chased in, and we're changing camera perspective, and we're doing all these different things, and it all flows and it all works and it all looks real solid. So in terms of new technical, I could see it, maybe. Feels like the room is leaning Split Fiction, but maybe I'm not.
We could also only have
No,
one.
no.
Oh, I
Split
think the
Fiction.
room's leaning
Really?
Yote.
I'm
Okay.
leaning Yote,
Okay.
but
Then do it.
Yote.
Do it.
Are we doing it? Are
Do
we
it.
doing it? We
We're
also
doing it.
We got
we
more
did-
art
next
to talk
category
about.
has so many nominees. I think we should.
Yeah, well, okay, let's move on. All right.
We
Yeah,
gotta
we
keep
Best
gotta
going.
keep
visuals
going.
technical overall, Death Stranding 2 on the beach with runners-up Claire Obscura, Expedition 33, and Ghost of Yote. Congratulations.
Yay!
All right, moving on to best visuals art direction. Claire, do you want to read this one?
Sure. The nominees for Best Visuals Art Direction are Everdeep Aurora, Consume Me, 30 Birds, South of Midnight, Slime Rancher 2, Avowed, Mario Kart World, Dispatch, Absalom, Despelote, The Drifter, and Keeper.
Can I speedrun the stuff that I added on here that we've not
Please
talked
do.
about yet?
Yes.
So I think that actually the only one is Everdeep Aurora. I
Yes.
was pretty disappointed with that game, but it has a wildly cool, and I hate to use this word because it's overused these days, but like a Ghibli-esque. It's like, what if Game Boy Color or original DMG Game Boy palettes plus... No, Game Boy Color, I'm right. Game Boy Color palettes and Ghibli-esque character design smashed together. Game's disappointing, visual style is undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
I'll shout out South of Midnight. I think visually such an interesting game. The hand-drawn art in that game is so cool. The representation of the South, derived from folklore. I think it enhances the narrative. I think the visuals about that game are the coolest aspect of it to me, and definitely a standout this year. We've talked about Keeper previously, but visually looks incredible. I'll also shout out Absalom, which was one I added to the list. Really, really cool hand-drawn art style, very striking, immediately gets you invested into the characters and the world and the enemy design. I think a beat 'em up game can feel very generic, but I think they were very intentional about making this game visually striking.
Yeah. I can run through some of my picks.
Go for it.
I put on Slime Rancher 2, just the things that it's doing with lighting and particles, and it's very visually busy, but not in a way that's overwhelming. It's extremely colorful. Like every single, especially in certain areas of the world, no matter where you look, there's something really, really beautiful. And the like rainbow effects and the way that the colors of the world are divided in half at a certain point, you can see this like split, and how narratively that's like not a good thing, is really cool. I also I thought Avowed deserved a shout out because I really enjoyed the way the world was just filled. Every corner of the world was filled with pretty things, flowers, bioluminescence, glowing mushrooms, the sky, and then the reflection on the water. I don't know. It felt like they were really intentionally making this fantasy world beautiful, and like I wanted to live in it. And I think that is really cool, especially in an era of grim dark fantasy where fantasy worlds and medieval inspired fantasy worlds are dark and gloomy and nasty. And then I also wanted to shout out Mario Kart World. I just think if you look back at old school Mario Kart and then you look at this, it's like the backgrounds are filled with things and you don't even notice them while you're racing because you can't focus on it. You have to focus on what you're doing. But if you're not the one driving, you can look and see, oh, there's a lot of stuff in the background and it's really cool. And it also just, not an art direction thing, but it's really impressive how it like maintains that fidelity even while you're moving through the world at these breakneck speeds. So very cool.
I will say with Mario Kart too, one thing to shout out is like the way they take the branding of world and break it up into different biomes and then make compelling courses within that visual style that then flow into subsequent courses. And like we were mentioning the knockout mode, like I love the progression of a multi-track race of knockout mode.
And the way they flow into each other is really
I think is really, really neat. And I think they do really fun things with, if you're a longtime Mario Kart fan, like culminating in this game's version of Rainbow Road is good. Visually so fun and really neat.
And also the free roam thing of just like there's a lot. It's kind of sparse, but it's really interesting that it's not just like the one track, but there are full areas to explore, and there's just like a whimsy there with like the dinosaurs and the animals and
one quick +1 to South of Midnight. One of the more unique visual designs of the year. I love like the stop motion animation aspect to how everything looks, and also just them depicting the Deep South. I think they did a fantastic job. I think, seeing all the black characters and how they were designed had a really unique visual design. It's not the same type of stuff you see in basically every other game. And just like some of the like lore, like mythological creatures that they have designed and shown based off of like Deep South lore as well. All comes together really nicely to really hit a very unique tone for the game and kind of teach people a little something as well.
Hell yeah. Claire, did you add Avowed?
Yeah, I just talked about that.
She just talked about it.
Man.
I'm so sorry. Have we...
Bioluminescence, Luke.
Bioluminescence, yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about... I mixed up.
There is bioluminescence.
You talked
Slime
about
Rancher
like a
too,
slate.
well.
I think that's what happened. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Slime Rancher when you said that, so that was my bad. The Drifter was one we've touched on previously, but I think it's a really cool pixel art style, and they find a really interesting level of visual fidelity within pixel art, which I think is neat. And definitely one of the most compelling aspects of that game. And parts of that game are rather like action oriented or sequence oriented, where like as an example, there's a scene, light spoiler, but it's early on in the game, where you're drowning underwater and you're like tied to something that's falling under the sea, and so you have like less than a minute to figure out what the heck to do in order to escape safely. And there's kind of this trial and error repeat sequence when you're doing these action moments, or you're being held at gunpoint and you have to quickly maneuver out of it. I think the way they do the visuals with a minimalist art style but still represent like I feel like I'm in an action movie sequence is really cool visually for that one. Okay,
this category is harder than
it's real hard.
Technical.
There's multiple
in my opinion.
directions we could take it.
Like
for the sake of narrowing
unique
scope, do we want to go
priest.
around and each say our number one, just to see if we have crossover at all? And then if we don't, we can narrow it from there. I'll kick things off. I think Keeper is mine. Even
what would be your number 2?
Yeah, that's
as well?
a good call.
Maybe that'll help.
I think my number 2 personally would probably be South of Midnight. I think those are kind of my 2 in conversation. Claire, how you feeling?
From what I've seen of South of Midnight, it looks beautiful. I haven't played it, and I watched your dad play like 30 minutes.
Sure.
I think I would shout out 30 Birds, as I have many a time, and then Dispatch. Very cool.
Sure. Jacob McCourt.
Consume Me 1,
Nice.
Keeper 2.
Okay. Yeah, Consume Me is real good too, and
Really
I love
good,
the
yeah.
juxtaposition of tone in that game of the bright colored art style and the way the journal ties into the mechanics of the game and the narrative of the game. I think is incredibly well
Mhm.
Yeah.
done.
It's
Yeah,
batshit
it's crazy,
in,
but it
in an art
works.
direction sense.
But the crux of that game is batshit because life is batshit. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
it's cool.
Mhm.
Joseph, where are you at?
Yeah, my number 1 would probably be South of Midnight. My number 2 would probably
Okay.
be Keeper.
So Keeper
Keeper's the
is a
winner.
through line here,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
If I'm grabbing things, I do like South of Midnight and 30 Birds as runner up, but Jacob, you having Consume Me as your number 1 pick, I think is a compelling case. I'm okay cutting.
I'd love to see 30
Yeah.
Birds here.
That's fair. I think 30 Birds is awesome. Personally, as much as I love it, I'm okay cutting Dispatch.
Okay.
I think it's a very good looking animated show,
Yeah. That's fair.
but I like what these other games are doing more from a new visual perspective and
Yeah.
the way it ties into gameplay.
I think, yeah.
I'm good with any of these others, whatever the group consensus is.
I'm seeing last year if we broke. So in one of the categories last year, we broke from 2
And had
runners
3.
up. In Best Indie, we had 3
Done.
runners up.
I'm
How would you
good
guys
with
feel
that,
if we
yeah.
did?
I don't think we need to pit these
Cool.
games
Get it
against
done.
each other because they're both
It doesn't
really,
feel
really
productive
good.
because
Yeah.
depending on what you like as a person, listener, I think
And
there's
they're
compelling
different.
things about all of these.
It's comparing bananas to broccoli.
Do you want a 3D action platformer? Do you want more of a puzzle experience? Do you want a wild narrative that'll punch you in the gut in the best way?
Where there's just even little moments in it where they've clearly taken days of time to build this very small aspect, and I love it.
The little fitness game, the doing folding of the laundry, the dog walking, the way
Putting
they
stuff in your gullet where it just goes in your
I love
mouth.
the way that when your dog shows up to beg for snacks, it like vibrates. That just tickles my brain in just the right way.
there's intentionality behind that one. That
But also, Joseph, I love everything you said about South of Midnight
Yeah.
and like the folklore elements and all the tie-ins.
it's such
to the South, which is just, and it looks beautiful.
I hope we get a sequel to that
It
one
does, it
because I
does.
think that game was like such a solid 7 out of 10 in terms of gameplay, and I would love to see them take that world, take that visual fidelity, and refine the gameplay experience so we get a Psychonauts 2. You know what I mean? Like a true generation defining, in my opinion. But yeah, that game is real.
I
neat.
want a physical South of Midnight real bad.
We'll see. It's coming to PS5, Switch 2 this year. So fingers crossed,
Maybe
folks.
that's the
It's also
time.
on Game Pass, so if you have that, give it a shot. It's definitely worth your time. Okay, lovely. So best visuals art direction went to Keeper, with runners up being Consume Me, 30 Birds, South of Midnight. Amazing.
Nice.
And the final
games.
category, before we get to revealing the top 10 games of the year list, we have
Yeah.
Best Narrative. Our nominees are Clear Obscure, Expedition 33, Dispatch, Many Nights a Whisper, Wanderstop, Despelote, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, and Roger, Consume Me, Citizen Sleeper 2, Star Word Vector. Whoo boy. Jacob, I'm going to kick it to you first because I think you're the only one who's played every single one of these games, if I'm correct.
Holy shit, I sure
Yes,
have.
You sure have.
Very nice.
Wow.
very nice.
Where
Holy
would you like to
shit.
begin? And then we can all kind of pepper in our thoughts about the ones we've played as we go.
Let me cover stuff that I think I'm the only
Sure.
person that finished it. Citizen Sleeper 2 Star Wars Vector. I don't need to see win here. I just want to recognize the world building in written form. I think Gareth Martin absolutely smashes it, and there's little character moments and world building moments that are done in written form without art that just absolutely rule. So for that on its own, I think the narrative itself has cool micro beats within it, but I think it's very similar in you're going to feel the same way after 2 than you did 1. So I don't need to see it win here, but I did want to shout out it is the best written game out of all of these.
Okay, don't sacrifice it yet. I think it should still be in
there
the
are games that I would put before
fair
it.
enough, fair enough.
Yeah. Despite no, I'm not going to say it. We're going to save it.
Despite it being
Despelote
high on your list, we won't say where.
Yeah,
yes, fair enough.
There it is. Thank you. Despelote has Despelote is a very not seminal, but it stands on its own, and there are no games out there like Despelote. Just in the stuff that you experience, both micro and macro in the world, and stuff you can engage with. Some people can just skip through certain moments, but you can actually just sit in front of a television and watch a World Cup game, as an example. So I think that's cool as shit. And then I want to cover Many Nights of Whisper. It has a surprising amount of narrative for the length of the game, especially in the moments where you are talking to villagers and cutting their hair. Basically, this game is split into training to make a single shot with your slingshot, and then in each interlude, you're speaking to members of your village, trying to get their wishes. If you grant their wish, they grow out their hair into a braid. You cut off their braid, and the braid goes into the slingshot and makes you shoot longer. But there are these really interesting moral and ethical questions that come up in some of the wishes that your villagers have. And so, again, micro narratives, so fucking cool. Macro narrative, it is what it is. It's 8 Mile, the song from 8 Mile. One shot, one opportunity. That's Many Nights of Whisper.
+1 for Many Nights of Whisper. I think the cool world building and memorable moments that they make in a 1-hour game that have stuck with me since I played it. Really, really cool game. Very cheap on Steam. Would recommend it to literally anyone.
Mm-hmm. They're the ones I'm going to cover.
Yeah. Joseph, what would you like to highlight of this group of games?
Death Stranding 2 is great. I mean, I think the only thing holding it back is the story gets real goofy at some points, which is typical. If you've played Death Stranding 1, then you know. It has some really high points as well that I enjoyed.
Yeah, it has some of the best
also,
Kojima shit and some of the worst Kojima shit.
Yeah. Particularly also Sam Porter Bridges is like literally just a husk of a human being. Doesn't react to anything at all, which is like terrible in my opinion. Obviously, Claire Obscure, I don't think we really need to dive into why that story is great. It's been said over and over and over again throughout the year. I'm really liking Dispatch so far. I haven't played enough to like see where the high highs go, but I'm really enjoying it. So
I would love to chat about Dispatch. As of last night, I've now played it twice, so I've seen some different permutations of the story and how the ending can play out in different ways. I think it's really incredible. I really loved it. It ended up very high on my list right towards the tail end of the year. On paper, this game was like such a Luke jam of like, I love superhero stuff. I love unconventional superhero stories doing new things. I think the dispatching mechanic plays into the narrative in really fun ways. All of the characters are, I think, really fun and interesting, and they're folks that I want to learn more about. It's one that I would love to see a season 2 to see how the story evolves. And I think episode to episode, they do a really nice job of making compelling cliffhangers. You're making compelling decisions. Having done 2 playthroughs, you can see some different cool permutations of how the ending plays out, which is really fun. The one asterisk I'll give this game that I have to acknowledge because it does bother me, I think the game is overly sexualized, and I think there's moments where...
I was going to say, was it the boobs or was it the penis?
Both, I think, because it's just like... it doesn't need to be there. Yeah, it's definitely male gaze-y, and I think it doesn't serve the narrative often. Like, it leans into it I would say too much, which it bugs me enough that as much as I love the game and how high it is on my list, it kind of disqualifies it from this category to me because I just don't think in those aspects is good writing. I think the game is well written in a lot of ways, and I think the characters are fantastic. But those moments, I'm just like, why did you choose to do that? We didn't need that. You're distracting from the story at hand, I think.
The areola bit didn't do it for you?
Wait,
did not
hold
choose that
everybody, hold
response.
up. I didn't get there yet.
No,
I didn't get there yet. Hold on.
Yeah, there's multiple if it was one moment, it's like whatever, write it off. But like, it's not. It's consistent throughout the game.
Yeah.
A problem, in my opinion.
I think for me, yes. But well, we were talking about narrative and especially other games, and I was looking at Dispatch. I was like, I like playing Dispatch. I love Dispatch. It's awesome. It's high on my list too. I do think that the overarching narrative is very superhero cookie cutter. Guys down and out, trying to get back, save his father's legacy. There's a vengeance versus mercy. The underdogs getting better and building synergy. These are all very much common superhero tropes. And I think it does interesting things within the superhero genre, but I don't think the narrative is one of them.
I think if this was best banter, best like conversational narrative,
Very
I could see
true.
it hanging because I think that's where the game shines.
And even best
like
character,
ensemble
because
cast?
there are
Best
some
ensemble
characters.
cast, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But in terms of the
Best villain, I want to say Shroud is like maybe the best
real
villain of this
solid,
year
real
also.
compelling.
Matt Mercer.
But yeah, I think overall narrative personally doesn't hang, which is a weird one to say because of how much I loved it and how like integral the story is into that game, but there's enough little qualms I have. So Claire, you have a couple on this list.
No, I actually don't.
Never mind.
Dispatch is the only one of these games I finished.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's why I was like, this is what I have
see,
to contribute. It's that I don't think it hangs. I'm curious what people have to say about Wanderstop.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about Wanderstop. That's another one I didn't quite finish, but what I played I really enjoyed. I think that game does really nice commentary on anxiety and mental health and self-care, and this idea of like looking introspectively and taking time for oneself. I think the gameplay is very compelling in a sense too, that you have travelers coming into your tea shop. They all have different backstories. You're learning more about them, and then you're crafting these beverages to address their needs. So I think the story does feed into the gameplay. Based on what I played, I wasn't like so head over heels with the story arc as a whole. It was more the moment to moment character interactions, the overall vibe, and the world building within it.
I've heard the narrative goes places though.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
in
I
the
believe
end.
Jacob has finished it, so
Maybe when
I'd
he
love
comes
when
back.
when he's back. I'd love to hear his overall thoughts on where it goes.
Yeah.
I can also, while we're filling time, I can touch on And Roger, which I think is also a very compelling experience in its own right. We've chatted about it multiple times on the pod. Very emotional in terms of gameplay systems, very akin to a Florence. I think everyone should play it, but it is a difficult game to be like, this is the best thing because it's centered around a tough subject. But I was just going to say that, like, if we were saying most impactful narrative or most, like, important narrative, I think this has a case. But in terms of enjoyment level, it's a tough one to compare, but that's not necessarily fair. That's not a
I don't know if
it's
it's
not a criticism of the
necessarily
game. Yeah.
a detriment. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Claire Obscure has a lot of grief and like very
Sure.
sad moments that we enjoyed, but a lot of the game is like, damn, this is dark type moments. So I think Anne Roger kind of hangs.
I respect
here.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you guys
Oh,
I played
nice.
it. I finished it, and like I really enjoyed it. It was kind of one of those games where I knew there was something that was going to happen, but I still like shed a tear despite even knowing where the story went when like it was all said and done, just because of how beautifully they weaved it all together. So yeah.
Agreed. Jacob, question for you. Does Wanderstop hang, in your opinion, like where the story goes by the end?
It asked another way. Is Wanderstop one of the 3 best stories of the year? I don't think so.
Fair enough.
I think it is one of the 5 best stories of the year. But is it the 3 best? I don't... It has some really cool moments in it, and I think overall it leaves you with thoughts and lets you... Like, it's a very reflective game. So... I think there are 3 better stories here than Wanderstop.
Okay, fair.
Having played all of them.
Sure. Touching on...
That's a wild thing to say this year. Holy
Touching
moly.
on Clair Obscur briefly, I know we've talked about it multiple times, but I just think the base premise alone is so compelling, and I think it's one of the best openings of any game I've ever played. I was immediately invested in the story in a game where typically with this genre, I fall off in terms of being invested in the overall character journey, but this game, no. I wanted to see it through. I wanted to know what happened to these characters. I wanted to unravel the different mysteries, and I think they make it compelling along the way of the little chats you have at camp, or the interactions during combat sequences, or major reveals at the end of acts and cliffhangers and what the heck just happened moments. Like, it has it all for me, narratively speaking.
Can I make a statement and ask to see if you guys agree? Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the best story of 2025.
Yeah.
I think so, personally.
Hoop? Yeah?
I could probably agree with that, yeah.
I'm not upset with that.
I'm not mad at that. Do you want me to keep going and say the next 2 and see how you guys feel?
Yeah. As the,
Go ahead,
you are the arbiter.
go ahead and throw a Citizen Sleeper 2 on there. I think it's only right.
Which one are you?
Consume Me?
Citizen Sleeper? Jacob was ready to sacrifice
No,
it, but I think
not
that's-
Citizen Sleeper.
There's no way
No,
we
I said
cannot
Consume Me.
put... There's no way we don't put Citizen Sleeper on there.
Really?
You said it was one of the best
Yeah,
stories of all
and
time.
on the last episode, you said it was the best game writing of...
I don't feel
it
that
is.
way about any other
Yeah, I
game on
don't
this
either.
list.
That's
Even
the
remotely
boldest-
close.
Okay, because I was going to say Consume Me and Roger, but I'm fine with Consume Me Citizen Sleeper 2.
Hell, have 3 runners
Lock
up
it
again.
in.
Why not?
All right, there you go. Lock it in.
Are we good? Are
Sure.
we good with that?
Great. Cool.
Yeah.
So for audio listeners...
Luke's like, I want to get to the video.
Well,
Let's go.
I'm not trying to rush it, but I just think that's where we are, to be honest, based on convos. The only one I could see maybe sneaking in is Mini Knights of Whisper, just because of the impact in such a short time, but I wouldn't put that over these other titles. And I played And Roger, I played Consume Me, and I played a chunk of Citizen Sleeper, and I agree with this ranking, I would say, personally.
I think anytime you have to do a lore dump and you have to exposition our asses off, that's why DS2 is not on here, because there are just straight up moments where a character will be like, and let me explain this concept to you for the next 7 minutes. Or like, you didn't understand because you're dumb. Let me explain this thing to you. Maybe that's just the way I took it. But yeah. I didn't love Anne Roger. I know I've said this before, but again, I think it's partly because of how I played it, where I played it in multiple chunks. I think that the 3-act structure of it gives you different emotions, and it's rare to get that much. Like, think of a game like it, like Florence. Florence doesn't hit you with that many a couple of different emotions, but this hits you with a wider breadth of emotions.
Yeah, I think that...
Am I just talking when we've already decided?
The tough thing with Anne Roger for me is that I didn't enjoy playing the game, but I think it is an impactful, important game, and I think it's well presented. I don't think it's necessarily a game I should enjoy play. You know what I mean? That's another wrinkle to it, and like we were saying, not a detriment to the game necessarily. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I think it belongs in the conversation for sure, and I have no issue with it being a runner-up. Yeah,
I like Dan Roger.
I think it's one of those where it's like I think everybody should play it, you know. So if that's a factor, I wouldn't necessarily say the same recommendation for other games. But
yeah,
are we good?
Okay, let's. I was gonna go. Let's just try this on for size. How does this feel?
bad.
Okay, great. Then let's go back and lock it.
I think it feels bad because it feels almost arbitrary.
Yeah.
Of like why not?
It's not like we only have so many awards we're printing and giving to people and mailing.
Fair
and
enough.
Shipping.
There are moments in Consumi that there's one moment in particular that pissed me off, but I understand why I think it was meant to do
I
that.
wonder if I've gotten there. Let's talk after.
I don't think you've gotten there based on.
There's a Luke. Can you guess what I'm talking
He's
about?
Not farther than me.
Yeah, Claire has surpassed where I was. I still need to finish it, but just based on industry convos that I've had some chats with folks and stuff.
There's a religion
Yeah,
moment that
that's
really
what I was
pissed me
gonna
off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It takes a.
but it was. I think it was meant to
think
do
so
that.
as well, based on what I've heard. So I think that's fair. Okay, how we feeling, room? Are we content? Okay.
Lock it in.
Let's
All
see
right.
this video.
Best
man.
narrative
Let's see
overall winner goes
this
to
video.
Expedition 33. Runners up and Roger, Consume Me, Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector.
Yeet.
The moment you've all been waiting for is the reveal of our top 10 games of the year from the Crossplay Conversation crew. So the way we do things here is everyone sends me their top 10 games, and I make a cumulative list ranking. Everyone's first pick gets 10 points. Everyone's 10th pick gets 1 point. So on and so forth. I do some number crunching, and I put together this reveal video. I'm the only one on the panel that knows exactly what made the list. Everyone has some speculations and some calculations and some guesses, but no one knows the official stance. So I'm going to reveal the video, and then after we show the video, I'll do some stats, breakdowns, and fun facts, and we can shout out some games that didn't quite make the list, but almost did, because we had 14 games that didn't make the list across all four of us, which I thought was kind of a crazy number. Yeah. So there's some great games to highlight, so let's jump right into it. I am going to share my screen, and we'll double check sound here, because everyone should be able to hear the video. We'll try that, and then
I think you had to do presentation instead of window, right? Or
I'm gonna do
entire
that is what I was thinking.
Wait, weren't you supposed to do use system audio?
Yeah, I gotta fix it. Hang on, we're getting there.
We're working on it together.
Let's go.
So go.
So we want that. Use.
Also share. So click on it and then toggle that. That should work.
Okay. So now, if I do this, everyone should hear this. Let's check.
There we go.
Can we hear it? All right, we're going, everybody. Strap in.
Oh, okay.
Little montage.
Hey.
Crossplay Conversations top 10 games of 2025. Number 10, with a tie. Consume Me. First tie, we'll say. Peak.
Nice.
Oh, the parameters of points between these first couple. Number 9, Razor Thin, with a tie. Tall Trails. And Donkey Kong Bonanza. Number 8, Hollow Knight Silk Song. Number 7. Citizen Sleeper 2 Star Wars. It made the list. You did it, Jacob. Yay. You did it. Number 6. Split Fiction. Number 5. Death Stranding
This
2
way, you can
on
help
the
out
beach.
the people who follow in your footsteps.
Number 4. Hades 2.
Care for a little wager here?
Number
Bet I'll
4.
take more of them than you. Let's see how strong you really are.
I'm ready for a tie at 3.
Time would wear us down, but
Number 3. Dispatch.
Looks like the Red Ring was behind this.
Oh no.
No problemo.
Can I get ice down here?
Got it. I need you guys to focus.
Number 2. Claire Obscure
Holy
Expedition
shit.
33. I almost did a fake out for
And the
number 1, but I
Crossplay
didn't.
Conversations 2025 Game of the Year is
Yeah, it
Blueprints.
is. Woo!
I suspect you wish me to look into your future.
I wake up exhausted, even in the morning.
Shout out to the
Like
homies.
I'm made out of decaf, I'm barely running. Oh, and I hate parties, it's just too many bodies. I don't like small talk, I'm always leaving early. Then I met you and my eyes
The
changed.
song from the party.
It sure is.
Oh, is that? I was like, what song is this?
I'm gonna need that later.
Big way.
It's
Know
very
every day's a celebration, and I wanna
All right,
say when you're
That is our
Wow.
top 10 games of 2025. I'll recap the list for the audio listeners. One time we got tied for number 10. We have Consume Me and Peak. Tied for number 9. We have Tall Trails and Donkey Kong Bonanza. 8 was Hollow Knight Silk Song. 7 was Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. 6 was Split Fiction. 5 was Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. 4 was Hades 2. 3 Dispatch. 2 Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And the number 1 Game of the Year selection from the Crossplay crew was Blueprints.
How close was it?
It was real close. To give a
5-point
point
margin.
breakdown, so number 10, Peek and Consume Me, received 6 points. Number 9,
Oh, shit.
Tall Trails and Donkey Kong received 7. Number 8, Hollow Knight Silk Song received 9. Split Fiction, 10. Or, I'm sorry, Citizen Sleeper, 10. Split Fiction, 11.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding
Damn.
2, 12. Hades 2, 19. Dispatch, 23.
Wow.
Claire Obscure Expedition 33, 33 points, which I thought
Hey!
that was a fun thing we had.
We did it.
And then Blueprints, 38 points.
Okay.
So, we had-
Top on 3 lists.
We had a bunch of honorable mentions, but just to highlight some fun things from all of our lists. So Blueprints was my number 1, Claire's number 1, and Joseph's number 1. It was number 4.
Number 3.
Number 3 on Jacob's list, yes. That was big. Jacob, your number 1 was Citizen Sleeper 2, so that catapulted it to number 7 with the 10
I was like, how did
points.
this get on?
Sorry, we didn't have your back on that one, buddy.
Hey, it's on the list. That's all that matters. I didn't think it was going
Joseph,
to make it on.
Your number 2 was Hollow Knight Silk Song. You were the only
Yeah.
one to have that on the list. That made
I was
it
surprised.
number 8.
Yeah.
Tall Trails was the only on my list, and I had it at number 4, so that got it into that number 9 tie spot. I believe, Claire, you were the only one that had Consume Me. Yes.
Is that Sean
Shocking.
the only one who had Consume Me?
Yes,
Wow, okay.
which it was on my short list, but just didn't quite crack the top 10. It was a very competitive year. He had it at number 5. I'll run down some honorable mentions, and then if anybody wants to talk about specific games, honorable mentions that almost made the list. Mini Knights of
Ball
Whisper
Pit.
was on Jacob's list at 4 points. Ball Pit, you were the only one to have it on your list, in fact.
Wow.
So it was your 10, so it got 1 point. My 10 was Ghost of Yote, which had 1 point. Claire's 10 was Expelled, which had 1 point. And Joseph's 10 was The King is Watching with 1 point. So the back half of our lists were wild. So we had the 14 games that didn't make the list, but we all had at varying places on our list. Mini Knights of Whisper with 4 points. Keeper and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 with 5 points.
God damn it.
Wow.
With Megabonk and 30 Birds with 4 points. The Drifter, Ooh, and Slime Rancher 2 with 3 points. Final Fantasy Tactics with 2 points. Mario Kart World also with 2 points. So those are the 14 games that were spread across all of our lists. I can read folks' top 10s. I can also post them in the... well, actually, here, why don't I do this? I can share my screen, and then people can just see them.
And then maybe we each go through them?
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
There it is.
Cool. So there is everyone's list that I did some calculations based. I can quickly read through my list. Starting at the bottom, I had Ghost of Yote, Megabonk, The Drifter, Donkey Kong, Keeper, Peak, Tall Trails, Dispatch, Expedition 33, and Blueprints. Claire, do you want to run through your top 10?
I had Expelled in 10th place, going up Mario Kart World, Slime Rancher 2, 30 Birds, Split Fiction, Consume Me, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Dispatch, Hades 2, and Blueprints.
My number 10 was Ball Pit. Number 9, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Evil East Chronicles. Donkey Kong Bonanza is 8. 7, Many Nights of Whisper. 6, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. 5, Hades 2. 4, Dispatch. 3, Blueprints. 2, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. And number 1, Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector.
And Joseph.
My number 10 was The King is Watching. Number 9, Megabonk. 8, Ooh. 7, Hades 2. 6, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. 5, Split Fiction. 4, Death Stranding 2. 3, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. 2, Silk Song. And 1, Blueprints.
Hell yeah.
Very nice.
Some fun surprises as I was calculating this. My prediction before this podcast was that Claire Obscure was going to take the overall win. I underestimated how high Silk Song would be on Joseph's list, and then I underestimated how high Hades would be on Claire's list. And then I think Dispatch was also kind of the sleeper pick of coming in there at the end for folks. So those were the big surprises. Any questions? Any highlight takeaways, everybody?
I think Claire Obscure... No, never mind. I was going to say I think Claire Obscure might have been higher on my list if it weren't for Dispatch, but it wouldn't have been enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I did that math as well. Because
I struggled with Blueprints and Dispatch at 3-4. There was a moment where Dispatch was 3 and Blueprints was 4, but I was like, am I going to be the guy? Is that decision going to be the thing that's not going to make Blueprints Game of the Year? Not why I did it, but I thought about it. It wouldn't have.
The margin was big enough that I think it was always going to be Blueprints to some extent. I think if everybody had Claire Obscure as their number 2, it might have done it.
I don't know, because we all had it at, unless Jacob had it as number...
that would have been a bonus.
Actually,
2 points on Jacob's end, 2 points on Claire's end, and 1 point on your end.
Then
so
it would have been a tie.
5 more points, it would have been a tie.
That would have been crazy.
Shouting out, our top 5 is a hell of a top 5.
Yeah,
that's real solid.
That is the top 5 games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Some really good indie representation across the shared list too, which is fun. And some bigger budget titles, but it feels like the right good combination, and I think it makes sense when I look at it. But super fun list.
I was afraid I was going to come in. One, I didn't know where Expedition 33 was going to land, because I didn't know how low Jacob was going to put Blueprints to be. Because as we kept leading up to the day, I was like, I don't know. It seems like in my head it's dropping, but then after last episode, I was like, okay, he's still kind of high on it, so it's not going to go that low. And 2, my biggest fear was I was so stressed about playing Dispatch in time for the thing, and I just couldn't do it. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have to leave it off the list. And I was like, please don't let it be that like I was a swing vote and like I played Dispatch right after, and it could have changed the whole list. But I don't think it would have made a difference. So
It wouldn't have.
no,
Yeah,
because
even
so
if you had
I'm
it
happy with that.
super
At number
high,
one.
it still wouldn't have.
I think the
gap
highest it
between
would have gotten
3
would be
and
like number
2,
4. So
Right. Yeah. I was the outlier of. I think I was the only one that didn't have Hades. Yeah, I was the only one that didn't have Hades on my list. It was a crazy year. No, that's not
he
true.
played
That's
the
not true.
beta.
I played 4 hours
early
early
access.
access, and I played
Yeah,
4 hours of 1.0. That's not true at all.
Were you guys? Did you guys send your list to Luke and then change it? Because I definitely did.
I did
You
not.
only did once.
I sent it to him.
yeah.
The last
I've
time.
changed it in my head since then. I think that I would have. What was my number 10? I think at this point I would have swapped Tiny Bookshop and Expelled. I wasn't sure when I gave him my list, but now that
Fair.
I've played more, I think I would swap those two. Maybe.
My
I was-
9 and 10 were a toss-up. It was Yote was. I toyed with Split Fiction over Yote, but I just thought of like, I liked the story in Yote more. I enjoyed the moment to moment more. I felt more compelled to finish it.
Yeah. I was
Those
really torn up about my bottom 5. I didn't feel super confident about my bottom 5. Top 5
Yeah.
was super locked in. But...
I don't know why, but I felt shameful putting Megabonk on my list. But I'm like, I had so much fun with
I thought
Megabonk.
Megabonk was going to make the top 10 because I was like, Luke is writing for this, and I'm like, for some reason in my head, I'm like, I'm putting it at 9. That has to do it, right? 2 points.
There was a world where I had it higher. Peak was also one that I was the only one that had it on my list, but I put it at my number 5. But that was another one where like, I just had so much fun playing with Jacob, with you and Kate and Adam on our Extra Life stream and off stream, and it's one that I'm always down to go back to. And just I think the rise of the friend slop in 2025 just really hit for me, so it cut through to my top 5.
Like 10 was so tough. I always do 11 on my list, and 11 for me was Split Fiction. But it could have been Tall Trails. It could have been Consume Me. It could have been Peak. So shout out to video games, man.
Truly,
I love video games.
Well, y'all, this was really fun as always. Highlight of the gaming year, putting all this content together with y'all, playing video games. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for taking the time to play all this stuff and record some of our longest episodes every year, but it's always a blast. For listeners, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We are going to start some 2026 content now that we're well into the year. Joseph Hooper.
Next year, number 1, GTA, Wolverine, Saros.
Who's
Who
to say?
knows? Who's
Quick
knows?
to say?
prediction, rapid fire, gun to your head. What's winning? Joseph.
Joseph, go ahead.
Fable.
Ooh, okay. Jacob?
I'm going to stick to what I said on the Player podcast. I don't think GTA 6 is coming out this year, and I think it's Saros.
Okay. Claire?
Yeah, I agree.
I'll be
Wow.
rogue and say Wolverine.
Okay.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
we're Sony Insomniac ponies.
Sony
over
pilled. Yeah.
Sony Ponies, baby!
here. We'll have to see. Only time will tell. We'll be back with our most anticipated indies of 2026 episode. Until then, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
No, we didn't
And
get
we're
to do
gonna
the 3 things.
No, we're doing 3 things.
Okay,
We're
okay,
doing
okay.
It. We're
4
doing it.
Oh, we're still
Four
recording.
things.
Yeah.
We're still recording. 4 things.
We're setting our status 2 away, but until next time, we're going to ask you to do 4 things for us. Give a follow on BlueSky at Crossplay Convos. Send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts. Give us a review on your podcasting platform of choice because it really helps. And, of course, drop us a sub on YouTube, also at Crossplay Convos. And with that, Happy New Year. See you in 2026, y'all.
Let's go.